All right, hello. How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to another reaction stream. Today we are going to be checking out Argel Tal. Yes, I don't actually know anything about this character at all, besides the fact that he is of the Word Bearer Legion, I suppose, at this point. I'm guessing a character of the Horus Heresy. I really don't know a whole lot about him. But yes, I hope you guys are all doing well tonight. It's awesome to see you guys here. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, I appreciate seeing you guys here. Yeah, I don't know much about him at all. Most voted on the poll, so you know, I'm excited to see what he's all about. I hear a lot of good things about him. A lot of you guys seem excited about him. So yeah, let's see. I know it was a toss up there. Actually, all the poll options this time around, they were pretty equal. Except for Argel Tal here, it was in the lead by a little bit, but the rest of the options, the other three, were very equal. So it was awesome to see that. Good competition on the poll this week. It seemed like coffee and Stellaris already. Let's do this. Yeah, I got myself again. The wait is largely due to the fact I make an iced coffee. You know what I'm saying? It's not even an iced coffee. It's a cold brew, so it even takes longer. You know, bougie with the coffee. I got to listen. If you have a coffee machine that can make that shit, listen. All I'm saying is you got to use that privilege and take advantage fully whenever you can. You know what I'm saying? This was uploaded 3 years ago, so it's a bit of an older Amber King video. Hour 18 minutes long. Not as long as some of his other ones, obviously, where it's like 3 to 4 hours. This one's an hour 18 minutes long. So, you know, 180,000 views. We'll leave a like right now, obviously, might as well. And if you guys are enjoying, of course, make sure you guys leave a like before we get into it. Obviously, big thank you to all of our members, all of our Hastati, and our Principes, Fear and Dagenhart. I appreciate you guys. You guys inspire me to make more content for you guys every single day. Let's just make sure quality is good here. 360, ugh, hold up. Okay, 1080p, captions on, full screen. And I think we're rolling. Let's do it. The stream is sponsored by Tim Hortons. It's actually not this time. this time I got a clear glass.
We choose who lives and who dies in this galaxy.
Just turn that down a touch.
It is the way of things. How many times have I told you I wish this truth wasn't true? It is true.
Oh, the truth. I need some paper. 1 second.
And we face it. We will not live a lie.
Colchis. Yeah, I can't wait for the word bearer fuckery we're about to watch.
I have never pretended to be anything but weak, Khârn. I do not enjoy war, yet I fight. I do not relish torture, yet I inflict it. I don't revere the gods, yet I serve their holy purpose. Humanity's weakest souls will always cling to the words, "I was just following orders."
Oh no.
Those words, making a virtue of their own weakness, lionizing brutality over nobility. I know that when I die,
you're just following orders, guys.
My whole life shrouded by that same excuse. A bearer of the word, captain of the serrated sun, the Crimson Lord, Lorgar's truest son, a figure of myth to a legion.
Lorgar's truest son.
Gods. A man who stared into the abyss of the warp and saw its truth stare back. But who is Argel Tal? What did he see? How did he live? And how did he think? His story begins in the 30th millennium. Humanity is spread across the stars. Like the small glints of jewels, our civilization shines upon millions of worlds. A mosaic of cities and colonies.
I do want to say real quick too. Let's pause real quick there. Oh, I'm turning the volume down. I'm trying to go back. Hold up. What are we at? 157. We'll go to like 148. That works. Okay. I did want to say real quick. I was just following orders. What do you guys feel about that? You know, because right off the bat, listen, I was just following orders. Is that a good excuse for committing genocide and potentially doing war crimes as a word bearer? You know what I'm saying? Listen, I'm not saying at the start, obviously. At the start, the word bearers actually seemed a little bit chill, I won't lie. They seemed, you know, not bad, all things considered. I mean, but at this point, you know, given what happens, you know, with the knowledge of hindsight, obviously, right? I was just following orders. Is that acceptable to you guys? What do you guys feel about that? Because I feel like, man, that's just too much for me, you know? I feel like you ought know better at a point, right? Like, I don't know. Like, obviously you want to be loyal, especially in 40K, to your Primarch, especially, right? This is your father. So I can understand it from that perspective. But goddamn, like, you ought to know. And I guess that's why, like, you know, but then there also was loyalists too within these legions, right? That did go turncoat. So you see that it is possible, and you're like, well, shit. Why didn't more do it, you know? But I guess it is what it is, you know. They're gonna, at the end of the day, follow their Primarch, follow what he thinks is best. They're loyal to their Primarch first, above the Emperor at this point, which I think is another whole reason behind, like, you know, breaking them down into chapters, right? It's to gain more loyalty towards a smaller group, obviously, versus a massive one, right? So, but I just think that's interesting right off the bat. They're hitting us with that conundrum.
Like
Let's keep going here.
Glints of jewels, our civilization shines upon millions of worlds. A mosaic of cities.
In 40K, absolutely. 30K.
It would be on this arid desert world. A world 5 times larger than Earth. A world that slowly turned in its baking sun, that a child would be born. A boy was born in the village of Singruk on the world of Colchis. His father had been a quiet man with kind eyes, who had round shoulders from a lifetime of devotion to his craft. His mother was a mouse of a woman with dark eyes and black hair, in the ringlets preferred by the southern tribes. She had smiled a great deal. It was his abiding memory of her. He had 4 older sisters. They had wept when the Legion came for him.
Yikes.
The youngest, Lakeisha, only a year older than he was, had given him a necklace of a desert dog's teeth that she made herself. His oldest sister, Dumara, has been every day telling him that he was a good for nothing, but she had no unkind words that day, and instead she brought him a blanket of goat's wool to take with him. A towering demigod stood over the infant with his mother and demanded to know the boy's name. The boy's mother surprised the large warrior with a question of her own. "What is your name, warrior?" "Erebus. My name is
Erebus? What the fuck?
"Thank you, Lord Erebus. This is my son, Argel Tal." Argel Tal, the last angel. He'd been born.
So right away, it seems like his family life, like his, you know, his upbringing, it seemed very mixed, you know, so it seemed like some family members he had, you know, cared for him, you know, one of his sisters seemed to hate him a little bit, but, you know, that day she still obviously showed that she cared for him as a family member, at least, right? But goddamn, Erebus right off the bat. I keep hearing about this fucking guy, man. I keep hearing the name Erebus, like a goddamn, like, monster, like, you know what I'm saying? Like a myth, like, from the sidelines. So then whenever you actually, like, see, like, here he is, you know what I mean? Because I haven't seen, like, we haven't checked out a lore video on Erebus yet. So, like, I don't really know, like, just how bad he is, you know? Like, I don't know his whole piece yet, so whenever we hear him, it's like the stuff of, like, myth, you know what I'm saying? Goddamn. Yo, fuck Erebus, exactly. Listen, so many mixed opinions. We can watch him next stream. Well, listen, you guys got to vote for him, you know what I'm saying? We're going to eventually get to all, or at least most of the Amber King videos at some point, right? We got still quite a few left, obviously, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there, right? But, no, I should put it on as an option next time. But yeah, Wordbearers live best Legion. I have mixed opinions about the Wordbearers, you know, because they did seem like they were relatively chill up to a certain point, and then they really went off the deep end, you know. Lorgar fucking he lost his mind, he turned into a rat, you know, turned into a real snake. That Lorgar did. The Wordbearers are goated. They are.
Argel Tal. Argel Tal, the last angel. He'd been born a sickly little thing.
The last
during
angel.
A year of blight and drought, and was given a name to mark him as the last child his mother would ever bring into their dry, thirsty world. Argel Tal was taken, like thousands of other young boys, to be inducted into the Legiones Astartes, a future of adventure, of war, and of pain. Argel Tal had been born in a time on Colchis, where the planet was enveloped by the touch of the Imperium of Man.
If you
This
watch
large
Erebus, you will
desert
understand.
world, only its famous flowers of grain
I bet.
could grow.
I
from its
hear
raging
really
sun,
mixed things.
And then the periods of long, cold dark. It was a homeworld to a Primarch, Lorgar Aurelian. Following the scattering of the Primarchs from Terra in the late 30th millennium, the young Primarch's gestation capsule raced through the warp, clawed and scratched as living nightmares tried to...
And I just want to make sure we're clear too. Colchis was a very goated planet for Lorgar, right? Like he made that shit like pure. And then suddenly, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, some things happened, right? At a certain point. And then it became not so great to live there anymore, you know? You know, like, yeah. It was a desert planet? Okay. But at the time, listen, he built it up though, right? Like I'm pretty sure after he arrived, after he got there, he made it something, right? At least parts of it. We'll see. We'll keep watching. I don't want to misspeak.
The warp, clawed and scratched as living nightmares tried to seep in. Lorgar's capsule re-emerged into real space, landing upon this.
It was already very religious.
He found a humble, tanned desert people living in the ruins of civilizations that had long passed. As the boy grew into a man and then a demigod, he changed them. He replaced the old faith of these desert people by starting a holy war, a crusade.
Instantly. Nice.
In the name of the golden god in his visions. As with most wars, it was won by blood. And what emerged was a united world, a people who had faith in a god emperor. A year passed, and finally their god descended. He came for his son, Lorgar. He came with a divine mission, to reunite the colonies of man.
Was it just a year, he said there?
Divine mission, he needed warriors, so they came for them. The superhuman warriors came for this world's sons. They came to Argel Tal to take him to the stars, to begin the Great
Hey, Battle Chicken, how you doing?
The 17th Legion, the Imperial Heralds, encompassed by the words, "If we kill everyone who resists us, then we will reign over a kingdom of ashes." The 17th Legion were more...
Right away, I just want to say that's a pretty like reasonable statement. You know what I mean? If we kill everyone who resists us, then we will reign over a kingdom of ashes. Like that's pretty goated to say right off the bat. You know, it means that they're not just like bloodthirsty. They're not just out there to like massacre the population, right? And that's the problem, I'm pretty sure, with the word bearers is, and that's what eventually got them caught, I guess, let's say, is the fact that their conquering of worlds was just significantly longer, and basically it took a lot longer for them to conquer worlds, which caused the Emperor and some of the other Primarchs to catch on, like, hey, what the fuck is taking the word bearers so long to do their job? Given the size of their legion, like, they should be, you know, out there cracking skulls, and like, you know, they should have a lot more wins under their belt, let's say. And then they checked up on it and they're like, oh god, they're just converting them, you know, like en masse, I'm pretty sure, right? I could be wrong. I don't want to misspeak, but I'm fairly certain that's the gist of it. So, goddamn, like it's reasonable, you know. Now, obviously, their religion is banned at this point. You can't be religious in you know, the Emperor's new empire, you know. But he tried to be. He just tried to be sneaky about. I mean, he wasn't even sneaky about it, wasn't he? Like he was pretty open about his belief to the Emperor, I'm pretty sure. Let's keep watching. I don't want to misspeak.
Then we will reign over a kingdom of ashes. The 17th Legion were more than just warriors. From their creation following the unification wars,
doing great.
Terra,
that's good to hear.
They sought to bring the enlightenment of the imperial truth. A legion who took its belief so zealously that it became the source of their pride. These superhuman warriors who were also scholars. The Legion cut a swath across the galaxy for decades, bringing world upon world into compliance. And then they received the news. Their Primarch, their gene father, the source of their transformation had been found. The Emperor and the Great Crusade's borders reached
The Emperor obey my commands without question. Also, the Emperor don't worship me as a god.
Eyes upon their gene father, and it was
he's
overwhelming. You can imagine.
I believe the Emperor is a massive hypocrite. That's what I will say right now, personally. Excuse me. Yeah, I think he, because again, given the knowledge that he can appear to you technically however he really wants, right? Like he can give off, like, you know, the image, whatever he wants to be. And he just he chooses to usually, right, appear as a dude laden in golden armor, massive, you know, long hair, fucking just chiseled chin, majestic as fuck, you know. I'm not a god though. Glowing in light. Like, bro, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. As a beacon for humanity, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But like, it's hard not to associate, you know? He was very open about it. He literally worshipped him as a god as soon as they met. They literally threw a massive holiday for him when they met. Oh shit. So like, again, if the Emperor said nothing about it, then it's kind of his fault what happened, right? Like what eventually does occur is due to him not nipping that right away, you know? Unless he tried to. I don't know. Let's watch. I don't want to throw the blame without seeing for myself.
Eyes upon their gene father, and it was almost overwhelming. You can imagine the sensation
he was told,
standing before.
He was told multiple times to stop. I see.
To well up. Your heart starts racing. You feel as if you are standing before perfection, like you are before the most incredible thing. Even the transformed gene sons from Terra felt as if they were standing in front of a roaring sun. Many legionaries finding they could only endure his presence for small periods of time. Like with many of his brothers, Lorgar began to reshape his legion into his image. The 17th listened to him, to his wisdom, his faith. Lorgar believed his father, the Emperor of Mankind, was a god. He was powerful beyond measure. Look at what he had achieved. Remember the presence of him. Might made right. Over decades his teachings began to permeate his sons. Perhaps the idea of them being part god appealed to them, whether they would admit it or not. It would be a legion.
Yeah, I could see that, to be honest.
Faith that Argel Tal would join. The new recruits from Colchis were taken in their thousands. The last time most would ever see their children. Each family devastated, but comforted knowing that their sons were joining the ranks of angels. Argel Tal was taken by Erebus, the first chaplain of the now newly consecrated Word Bearers Legion. Argel Tal was trained day and night for years in battle simulations.
I will say, real quick, again, with the knowledge of hindsight, it's like, yeah, your son gets like drafted to be in a Space Marine Legion. Oh, you're so excited. Hindsight, it's the word bearers. You know what I mean? Like, uh-oh. Yikes. Seems they're going to have a hard time out there, man. Even if you do succeed, I mean. Like, I don't know. It just seems like a rough time to me. Emperor did a half-hearted attempt to say, don't worship me, and didn't give a good reason not to. I mean, maybe that's true. That could be completely true. But, like, I mean, does he need to give him a good reason, though? That's, I guess, what it comes down to. Does he need to give him a reason? Or is just telling him, don't worship me, like, reason enough? You know what I mean? Like, and it's kind of like, listen, I told you once not to do it, okay. I've told you twice not to do it. Okay, fine, Lorgar. As you start to like grit your teeth a little bit, like, you know what I mean? And then the third time, it's like, okay, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, every time the Emperor told Lorgar he wasn't God, Lorgar thought to himself, only a god would deny his own divinity. Listen, I suppose that's, yeah, okay. So Lorgar is just like in denial, basically. He's just like, He needs it to be true, almost, seemingly. Now, maybe that's not his fault, but that's kind of what it seems like almost. It didn't help that Ragdan Xenocide happened as well, causing a few of the stronger legions to suffer massive losses. So he was on edge when punished Lorgar for wasting time. I see, yeah. Yeah, like, I'm pretty sure, like, that's one of the things that, like, kind of led on to that he was, like, converting worlds, right? Was the fact that he wasn't committing his forces and, like, conquering as quickly as anyone else was. Like, he was taking his sweet time doing it. Couldn't have just said, don't worship me as a god because I don't want to accidentally empower something else. Fair. Like, he could have explained. But again, the Emperor kept it all a secret. Like, again, just merely explaining right that in there, why, probably could have done him a lot of favors. In hindsight, right? Let's keep going, though.
Trained day and night for years in battle simulations, physical training, and in the teachings of Lorgar's holy word, the Levitico Divinatus. After years of shaping, he was ready. They lied him down on a cold table, and they cut him open. They attached new organs to his body, the gene seed of the demigod Lorgar. Chemicals and stimulants flooded his veins. No matter how long he lived, this process would be the most excruciating pain he would ever feel. Many young boys would not survive this transformation. It was.
This picture is crazy.
The boy became a man, Argel Tal, a legionary of the Word Bearers. Throughout his early life, he had been shaped personally by Erebus, molding him to be a chaplain to the Legion. But it became apparent that over time, this was not his path. The disappointed first chaplain even tried to force this young Hastati into the role, only for the confrontation to end with Argel Tal drawing his sword towards a brother legionnaire, something completely unheard of. No, his path was different. Perhaps he believed in...
So Argel Tal almost fucking dueled Erebus over the position of chaplain, is that correct? And like, because he didn't want to do it, he didn't want to accept the role. Is that correct? Did I hear that right? I just want to make sure like that's true. Cause like, what the fuck, man? Holy shit. This is not my job. Like, listen, Argel, you're gonna do this and you're gonna like it. Like what? Lorgar tried to groom Argel Tal. Like, yeah, exactly. Like basically, yeah. Literally. That's kind of what I got from that, right? He's like, no. I don't want to preach. No, you're gonna preach, boy. Like what? Holy shit. Lorgar is a person who needs a religion or something to worship to function through, and that's not really his fault because the Emperor made him. Like, yeah, exactly. Like that's kind of what I'm saying. Like I'm leaning more on the like fact that it is the Emperor's fault here, more so, you know. Again, I don't know the full story, so we'll see. But as of right now, that's kind of where I'm leaning.
Heard of.
Or Erebus, yeah, not Lorgar. Erebus, yes, of course, yeah. Erebus is attempting to I mean, Lorgar probably would as well, let's be honest here. But Erebus, yes, that's correct.
No, his path was different. Perhaps he believed in some way he was an angel. Perhaps he didn't at all. The results were clear though. This zealous young Hastati wanted to be out there, on the front lines with the men. He had joined for adventure, and because his faith called him to war, he was no scholar. After decades of preparation, decades of blood, sweat and tears, he was ready. And so Argel Tal, or the village Sing Rook, joined the Great Crusade.
Lorgar and Argel Tal had a pretty healthy relationship. Well, that's good. I mean, Argel, so far, we haven't seen him do anything egregious yet. But this is the Great Crusade now, so I guess we'll see.
Believe what you do not see. The reward of this faith is to see what you believe. The sensation of the mystical, the sensation of love, a connection that ties all living things. Faith is something we all share. Faith in family, friends, systems, philosophies and religions. Why is it that we are all so attracted to faith? Perhaps because religious or not. Humanity is driven by the escape of death. Most people aren't afraid of death. They are afraid that their life meant nothing, that it had no purpose. Are you afraid to die, unremembered,
Yikes.
forgotten? It is easy to see why Lorgar, Argel Tal, and the word-bearers took great comfort in the fact that their actions were divinely mandated. The Great Crusade, a holy war to spread the kingdom of their god, the Emperor.
I can kind of see it from their perspective, because it's like they want to do it for like a reason that makes sense in their mind, right? Because just doing it for the Emperor, like if the Emperor is just a man, like what makes him have more right to do this than anyone else, I suppose, in their minds. So he has to be divine. Like this has to be for a greater reason, right? In their mind, right? With the accomplishments of the Emperor, what he's done, it's hard not to see him as that, right? Like I can kind of see it, right? It makes sense to me. Also good friends with Khârn. Lorgar actually liked Argel Tal the most. Oh, really? Yeah, well, I guess Lorgar's truest son, right, is a title for him, I suppose, so.
Crusade, a holy war to spread the kingdom of their god, the Emperor. They were his angels, just doing God's work. Argel Tal joined the Great Crusade, assigned to the Serrated Sons chapter. He was a man now, marked by his tanned skin, showing his desert world origins, and his vibrant ocean blue eyes that would come to see a lot in the coming centuries. All that training was put to the test, and he fought countless numbers of horrific Xenos species and non-compliant human colonies. Warzone after warzone, Argel Tal took to the front lines, showing a particular skill in hand-to-hand combat, excelling with his infamous dual red
And it did say centuries there too, so he lived a while.
They were building a kingdom for a god. They were more than warriors. They were scholars. They were priests. As Argel Tal and the word-bearers found these distant human worlds, they didn't just perform their duty. They went beyond. They stayed. They preached the good news. They brought the worship of the Emperor to their compliant worlds. These so-called angels in grey armor built churches, held ceremonies. They taught their wisdom to these isolated colonies of mankind. Argel Tal had rejected becoming a champion.
Basically space Mormons.
Nature was too straightforward.
But a little bit more forcible.
He had no gift for speeches, but he did believe. Faith is to believe what you do not see. The reward of this faith is to see what you believe. He believed the Emperor.
Yeah, you imagine like the Mormon shows up to your fucking door and instead of like knocking, they just kick your fucking door down. Like just, you know, police like breaching ram your fucking door in. Hey, you will. You will listen. I am going to tell you about God. And he is great. Do you understand me? That's basically what these guys are doing at this point. Like straight up during this time. Joshua Grandpa. Yeah, literally. Literally, they're just like fucking sinners. He's always got something to say, like, you know what I mean? In retort to what you're doing. Like, you just broke my fucking door down. Well, the Lord, you know, has a proverb for that. Busting of the door, as they say. I don't know what it is. I'm not him, but I'm sure there would be one. The guy who can destroy planets with his mind. Totally a normal dude. Like, exactly. Like, Again, the Emperor is capable of a great many things. He's been around for a great many years, supposedly, and that's no secret. So I feel like again, most people, right, don't live that long, right? Like you can't just be a normal guy and just like be alive for potentially, you know, 100,000 years, you know, depending, give or take, like 60,000 years. Depending on your age, like, yeah, that's, listen, a couple thousand, you know, at the most, even, that's pretty old. A lot of perpetuals, though. Yeah, I guess perpetuals exist as well, right? But, like, it's just like, goddamn, like, you know, you don't really, it's hard to see because it's not just like that. It's that coupled with quite a few other things, right?
Faith is to see what you believe. He believed that the Emperor was a god. He felt the effect of Lorgar's presence. He believed it, so he saw signs where others would not. The decades of the Great Crusade progressed. Argel Tal over countless battlefields began to prove himself, finding renown amongst his legion, and even friendship and respect with others, such as with Khârn of the World Eaters. He shed blood and sweat for decades, and when the time came, there was only one clear choice for the captain of the 7th Assault Company, with his brothers Zafin, Malnor, Torgal, and Merenkar by his side. The Serrated Sun chapter fought its way across the galaxy. Argel Tal and his men grew into grizzled veterans of the Great Crusade, their mind tempered by a soldier's wisdom, but their hearts singing with the faith of the Emperor. But nothing lasts. In the latter decades of the Great Crusade, the Legion received a distress signal from the city.
I will say the style of like the word bearers.
Was a lead.
If this is like accurate, like styling of them, like this is how they like usually look. It does look pretty nice, I will say. I could see this being like a pain in the ass to paint though, like a complete like utter like ass to like paint. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's easy. I don't know. Again, I haven't painted yet, right? But it seems like they could be very hard to get right, to get to look good at least. Like just looking at like all the embellishments and shit on them. Missed a bunch of the stream. We're only 13 minutes in. We still got a lot left. Don't worry. Don't worry.
From the city of Monarchia on the world of
like Khârn. They do look sick.
Monarchia was the Legion's crown jewel, the perfect city, a place in unwavering dedication to the God Emperor. When Argel Tal and the Legion arrived, they were ordered by Rabute Gilliman of the Ultramarines to muster on the surface. The temple city had been utterly destroyed. Lorgar was enraged, screaming at Gilliman for his heresy. Argel Tal and the Legions tensed, sensing this was going to escalate, until a pure, golden, beautiful light erupted in front of them. The Emperor had arrived.
Take a knee.
You're not a false angel,
the girl said again. She was clearly hesitant, still not looking directly at the Hastati as she rose on shivering legs. Argel Tal took a step closer, offering his hand. The young woman didn't take it. She didn't even acknowledge it. The warrior's eye lens displays flickered with crude biosigns analysis that Argel Tal had no need to see. The female's condition was obvious, from her juttering facial bones, the patches of raw, discolored skin decorating her body, and her limbs were shaking in a manner that had nothing to do with fear.
You're on the edge of malnutrition,
said the captain.
And the wounds on your...
So let's just take a guess here. I don't know, right? But I'm going to take a guess and say this is after a certain pillaging that took place. You know what I'm saying? Like a certain blue on blue incident, but it was intentional, you know? A fragging, let's call it almost. We'll see.
You're on the edge of malnutrition,
said the captain.
And the wounds on your hands and legs are grievously infected.
This last was an understatement, given the spread of flesh corruption below the knees. It was a miracle the girl could still walk at all. Amputation was a very real possibility.
What color is your armor, Angel?
She asked.
Not
Answer
blue.
me this question, I beg you.
The word-bearer withdrew his offered hand.
The Ultramarines have no honor? Yikes.
The warrior said.
Forgive me for not noticing before.
I saw the city die,
she said.
I saw it burning as a flame rained from the stars.
Yeah, okay.
The sky fires stole my eyes on the day of judgment.
It's called flash blindness. Your retinas are bleached by an oversaturation of light. Sight may return in time.
The young woman let out a panicked yell as Argel Tal rested his gauntleted fingers on her skeletal shoulder. She flinched back, but the Astartes kept her standing.
This used to be a nice neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? Aw.
Please, don't kill me.
I will not kill you. I'm guiding you to safety. We saved this world 60 years ago, Curian. We never meant to bring this upon you. What is your name?
Cyrene. But what color is your armor, Angel? You never answered me.
Argel Tal looks down into her blinded eyes.
Please tell me.
She repeated.
So yeah, I feel like what color is your armor is like a very like uh-oh kind of question, because it's like that could mean like quite a few things, you know, depending, you know. I don't know how much this woman would know. She'd probably only know the color of like the people that initially conquered her, like, which would be the word bearers at this point. Not her planet, I should say. Pause, right? But obviously she might have seen like ultramarine colors, you know. She might have seen like, you know, I don't know how close their ships need to get for an orbital bombardment, but some of them are pretty massive, so I'm sure you might be able to like look up and like be like, huh. To some degree. They might have just done like a flyby or something, you know, just make sure they got everything. You know, hard to say.
Down into her blinded eyes.
Please tell
You're
me.
just ultra hating.
Gray.
That's good.
The
That's a
girl
good one.
burst into tears and allowed herself to be half carried back
Yikes.
to the shelter of the word-bearer's gunship. Zafin had visited her twice since the first day, and Argel Tal had come 3 times. Each meeting with the captain had played out much the same as the one preceding it, with stilted conversation and awkward silences. From what Cyrene gathered, the Legion's fleet was en route to a world they were supposed to conquer, but they were denied the order to begin the assault.
Why?
She asked, glad to have even this uncomfortable company.
Aurelian remains in seclusion.
Argel Tal had said.
Aurelian?
A name for our Primarch, spoken by few outside the Legion. It's called Chisian, the language of our homeworld.
It's strange
Cyrene confessed.
to have a nickname for a god.
Argel Tal fell silent for some time.
You can't
Primarch
call
is
him
not
that
a
anymore.
god.
Yeah.
Sometimes the sons of gods, despite the power they inherit, are demigods. And it's not a nickname, it's a term of kinship, used only among family. It translates loosely as the gold.
You said he remains secluded.
Yes, within his chambers on our flagship Fidelitas Lex.
Does he hide from you?
She heard the Hastati swallow.
I am not entirely comfortable with this line of discussion, Cyrene.
Uh-oh.
Let us just say that he has much to contemplate. The God Emperor's judgment is a burden upon many souls. The Primarch suffers as we suffer.
Cyrene thought long and hard before what she said next.
Argel Tal,
Yes, Cyrene.
you do not sound upset. You don't sound as if you're suffering.
Do I not?
No. You sound angry.
I see.
Are you angry at the Emperor for what he did to you?
I have to go.
Said Argel Tal.
I am summoned.
The Hastatis rose to his feet.
He wasn't
I
summoned.
heard no summons.
Yeah.
said.
Literally.
I'm sorry if I offended you.
Argel Tal walked from the room.
I was not
word.
summoned. Monarchia. Uh-oh. So he saved that woman, and then obviously like she has questions like, why are we like getting burnt? You know what I'm saying? You don't sound very upset. You sound angry. You know? Yeah. I can see a lot of the word bearers probably having a little bit of what's the word? Miscontempt for fucking the Ultramarines and for the Emperor after that. You know? Like, these are worlds that they brought into compliance, probably some of their home worlds even for some of these word bearers, right? And it's kind of like, you know, you just kind of had to idly sit back and watch as they got torched. And then you can walk in after and like kind of clean it up, like help survivors and whatnot. But like, goddamn, pretty bad, pretty bad. I sure hope nothing bad happens on Monarchia. Yeah, I can't wait for that, right? Nothing bad will happen here, surely.
The Emperor their god had descended onto the world of Khârn. Argel Tal and his brother Zafen stood in awe, but this divine moment turned to ash. The Emperor chastised Lorgar. The Legion stood in the ruins of their greatest triumph, their greatest temple to their god, and now nothing remained of Monarchia, flattened by the Ultramarines on the order of their very god. Lorgar pleaded with his father, begging him to just admit what he was, but his pleas were silenced in an act of violence. The Emperor used his immense psychic abilities to force Lorgar, Argel Tal, and the Legion to its knees. Over 100,000 superhuman warriors crashed into the dust and ash. Argel Tal felt the immense pressure completely overwhelm him.
What the fuck? So imagine, right? Like, it's not even just like, you will kneel before me. It's like, I'm just gonna fucking forcibly make you and your entire bitch boy legion just kneel into the ash of your fallen city. I don't give a fuck. I thought he was just gonna walk up and just like backhand bitch slap like Lorgar, you know what I mean, immediately. But like, holy shit. Like, again, I'm not a god though, guys. Why don't you just admit what you are? Why don't you just admit it? I'm not a god. Suddenly, fucking the weight of the world is upon you and your boys. You know, like, holy shit. I, like, again, little bit of a hypocrite. I will say. It's yeah, super normal guy. Totally relatable. Definitely not God. Like, yeah, literally, man. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, how do you sit there and you just like claim, right? Like, how do you claim that, you know, there's nothing supernatural about me, there's nothing superhuman about me, I'm just some regular guy just like everyone else, right? I'm just like you. Now you will fucking kneel, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, you're not. Also made the Ultramarines sack and destroy the city. Yeah, that's the thing too. It was like the Ultramarines of all people had to do it while they just watched. More warship, juicier prize for chaos. True.
Tal felt the immense pressure completely overwhelm him. He felt this crushing weight pressed down. His mind was overwhelmed. He was pushed to his limits in his attempt to stay conscious. But what came after was worse. The Emperor decried the 17th. He told them that they had failed, that their conquests of the last 2 centuries failed the Great Crusade, that they had encouraged the very ignorance the Emperor has sought to rid the galaxy of.
That is kind of true, yeah.
That they had done meant nothing. With the pressure lifted, it was Argel Tal and Zafen who rose first. They rushed to their Primarch, trying to help him to his feet. It was the first time Argel Tal had ever truly been face to face with his Gene-Sire, and this first true meeting was marred by Lorgar's haunting screams of pain and frustration. Lorgar's presence was difficult enough, but to see him this way pained his son, overshining the usual sense of awe. The word-bearers were humbled. Their god had told them they were wrong, and were to be put under strict supervision by a contingent of custodians. The reeling legion was ordered back to its fleet. It was on the journey back, Argel Tal caught a glimpse of something wandering in the dust. Cyrene, the now blind, once priestess of Monarchia. Argel Tal saved her, perhaps a reminder of the Legion's failure to protect Monarchia, and what their actions had brought upon her and thousands of others. Argel Tal came to speak with her many times. He was a centuries-year-old,
and she's like the lucky one, you know, one of the lucky ones.
No eyes to see the core of his words. You do not sound upset. You do not sound as if you are suffering. No, you sound angry. The words flustered him because they were true. She was right. He was angry. He was taken from his family on Colchis. He was trained for decades, cut open. He listened to the words of his Primarch. He gave himself over to the Great Crusade.
Yeah.
This holy mission, this grand purpose.
Yeah.
He fought for over a century in horrific conflict, losing friends and brothers.
For seemingly for no reason, that's the thing, right? did all of that for like seemingly no reason whatsoever, just because like that's again how they made their peace with doing what they were doing, with everyone doing what they were doing. We're doing it for a greater good, for a greater purpose than ourselves and for humanity, right? But then, you know, your God, quote unquote, just sits there and tells you like, nah, and then burns your people to the ground also. Like, that's the thing, to make an example out of them, like to kill all these innocent people, right? Like, that is so like anti-human in a way, you know, just because like they believe, and it wasn't even their fault that they believed. They were forcibly, like, it was believe this or basically die, right? Non-compliant worlds were probably torched just like the rest, you know? So it's like, you're gonna join us, also you are gonna believe this. So it's like, I don't know. It's one of those things.
Over a century in horrific conflict.
They defied the imperial truth, but it's not their fault though. Like, again, the word bearers are the ones that like brought this religion to their planet for, you know, after submitting to them, right? So it's like, how can the average citizenry be blamed when it was like that religion was kind of forced upon them, right? It's more just like your legion is to blame, right? Not them, in a sense, right? Like, from the Emperor's perspective, like, how are these people? They were told not to. Yeah, the word bearers were told not to. But the average people on these planets, which were like word bearer controlled, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, they submitted to the word bearers. The word bearers are then in control of that planet. The word bearers are then spreading that religion to the planet. That's not the people that submitted, did their piece and submitted rather than die. That's not their fault, because like the legion that they were taken over by brought a religion to their planet that they might have otherwise not had. I see. Was it only Monarchia? Was it only Monarchia that got burnt, or was it other planets too? Because obviously they had more than one planet, right? And under their control, I'm pretty sure at this time, right? I know Monarchia is like, or Colchis, that's their capital, right? Only Monarchia, but now they have to go back to all the other planets and undo what they did. I see. The other planets were purged of Emperor worship. Now, when you say purged, do you mean like purged, or like don't believe in that anymore, purged? You know what I'm saying? Humiliates a traitor legion while rubbing how great the Ultramarines are in their face. The Emperor really does embody Games Workshop, doesn't he? Yeah, kinda.
In horrific conflict, losing friends.
Bolter purged. Uh-oh.
He praised his God and followed his will, and then to be told,
lined up against the wall, kind of purged, I see.
That their sacrifices had meant nothing. Their conquests, their praise, their worship was rejected by their very own God. Their life had been a lie. Cyrene was right. Argel Tal was angry. The Legion was spiritually broken. Lorgar had been in seclusion for weeks. The only sign of hope came from the chaplains when they changed their armor's tint to a midnight black. They began to spread the word that some changes were coming. Directly from Lorgar.
Some changes are coming.
Erebus. The reeling Legion needed to heal. They had let out some of their anger on passing non-compliant worlds, but they needed to renew, to prepare for their future. So Argel Tal and the Legion set their course to Segmentum Pacificus. They were returning to Colchis.
The fear has faded. I am no longer afraid. I am inspired.
You cannot hide it from me with mere words, brother. And you are right to fear what may come to pass. You stand upon the precipice of destruction, and still contemplate a path that will send you falling over the edge. I understand your pain. Everything you achieved on Colchis was for a flawed faith. Every compliant world is one your legion must revisit.
Is this Magnus, like, telling him all this?
But you cannot live in fear of making another mistake.
Lorgar said nothing for several moments. At last, his shoulders slumped.
You could have helped me, Magnus.
The word-bearer's Primarch
That is not my problem, Lorgar.
Back to the wine table.
We could have taken the pilgrimage together and sought the place where the stars are stained by divine influence. You see into the great ocean better than anyone else. You could have been my navigator.
Magnus narrowed his good eye. In sympathy, the puckered scar marking the absence of his other eye pulled tight.
What do you intend to do, Lorgar? You have no idea of what you seek.
I will continue the Great Crusade.
Lorgar smiled, taking another swallow of the dark wine.
Yeah.
I will cast
Just
my
not in the
fleet
way you
across the
think I'm
galaxy
going
and
to.
bring every world we find into compliance. And as we sail the heavens, we will be as pilgrims, seeking a holy land. If there is truth behind the legends so many cultures share, then I will find it. And with it, I will enlighten humanity.
Magnus said nothing. Disbelief robbed him of speech.
Magnus is like, you
drained the
joker.
wine.
You
He stayed
absolute
with his
joke.
golden lips again.
You can't be for
I will
real.
apply my legion's full strength to the Great Crusade, and never raise another monument in the Emperor's image. I will do it all under the watchful eyes of his custodes' war dogs. Surely there is no harm in recording ancient tales of faith from the cultures we encounter. You yourself assured me that they were all false. Father said the same.
I am leaving.
Magnus said
Yeah,
again,
okay.
and moved to the center.
I am leaving instantly. Magnus, fucking Lorgar just drops this truth bomb. Oh yes, I'm going to keep looking for it. I will never erect another fucking monument in the name of the Emperor again, but I'm still going to keep seeking the truth out there. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Why don't you help me, Magnus? Immediately. I'm leaving. I don't want any part of the... Fuck that. Like, what? Magnus is respectable. Listen, I can respect Magnus a little bit. He's literally just like, nah, nah, dude. Hears that shit. He's like, no, bro. It can't be. Just stares at him in disbelief, mouth agape. Like, after all that's happened, really? Still gonna be fucking around like that, Lorgar? Really? You're lucky I don't go straight to the Emperor with this, you motherfucker. Like, what?
I am leaving.
Magnus said again, and moved to the center of the room, resting his gloved hand on the great leather-bound book chained to his belt. The Primarch looked back at his brother. They would not meet again for almost 40 years, and the galaxy would be a very different place by the time they did. They both sensed this. It carried between them in that lingering stare, half challenge, half plea.
What swims within the great ocean that you've always kept from us?
Lorgar demanded, teeth clenching.
What secrets hide within the warp? Why do you spend your life staring into it if there's nothing there?
Yo.
What if I asked our father about your secret travels into the ether?
Farewell, Lorgar.
The word-bearer's lord pulled back his hood, his handsome features rendered in true gold by the candlelight.
To be fair, Magnus potentially... Now, see, like, this isn't Magnus's piece to tell him any of this, though. Like, this should definitely be the Emperor to tell him this. But, like, I don't know, because I feel like if Magnus at this point told him, like, yeah, you know, there's actually... Listen, there's a lot of shit going on that you aren't privy to, I'll be real. And he just kind of, like, spilled the beans there a little bit. I feel like Lorgar would have taken that and just, like, fully went, like, ape shit with it, you know what I mean? So I think, like, Magnus did the right thing here. Just, like, nopey note. Like, he was kind of put into a tough position. He hears what he's doing. He's not really going to turn him in, which is arguably the wrong thing to do. Like, in his case, right? But, like, he isn't going to associate with it. I think that's the important thing here, you know? He's not going to indulge Lorgar with any of these, like, propositions or, he's not going to let him know anything, right? I think that's the right call. If Magnus had told him about the warp gods, I imagine he immediately would have started praising him. Like, yeah, literally. Like, I think that's exactly why he didn't tell him that. Like, again, I think he did absolutely the right thing. Just keeping it to himself here and leaving, like, distancing himself as quickly as he could. Malkador was upset by the fall the most. I could imagine. Malkador, like, the entire Imperium as a whole, right, was Malkador's baby. And, like, it affected him, I'm sure, the most. Like, more so than the Emperor, arguably. Because, again, it was, like, that was Malkador's, like, whole life. Was the, like, guidance of the Imperium, right? So to see it burn is just kind of like, you know?
His hood, his handsome features rendered in true gold by the candlelight.
Is there a place where reality and unreality converge? An Empyrean, a heaven that humanity has always misunderstood, a realm where gods and mortals meet. Answer me, Magnus.
Magnus shook his head as motes of misty light began to form around him. A teleportation lock from his vessel in orbit. Wind from nowhere began to breathe.
What are the voices?
Lorgar screamed over the rising winds.
Who calls to me?
If you will not alter your path, then only one thing awaits you in the stars,
said Magnus. Lorgar stared in rapt silence, hungering for the answer, but Magnus spoke only a single word, before vanishing in a burst of bright light and white noise.
Misery.
Yikes. I feel bad for Magnus. I still think Magnus should, like, not have been traitor. You know what I mean? Like, all things considered.
Faith is to believe, even when you do not see. It is a choice. Lorgar Aurelian taught his legion to make this choice, and Argel Tal and his brothers did, most having never even seen the Emperor with their own eyes. They chose to believe. But what if you did not have faith? What if you saw a god? What if you knew that this celestial being existed, whether you had faith or not? What would you do with that? What choice would you make with this revelation? Argel Tal had faith in the Emperor. All his life, from Colchis to the Legion, he was taught to have faith. But something broke inside him upon the ashes of Monarchia. The Legion felt it too. A chasm in their hearts. It was upon their return to Colchis, Argel Tal, Cyrene and Zaphon and the other members of the Serrated Sun were summoned to meet with Lorgar, following his discussion with Magnus. It was under the awe-inspiring gaze of Lorgar.
Listen,
that finally
motherfuckers.
the stirrings of the chaplains.
We're gonna go find the truth.
Lorgar had come to a revelation. He wanted to see what swims within the great ocean. The warp. He wanted to begin a pilgrimage. He wanted to explore the truth about the faith he destroyed centuries ago on Colchis. He wanted to know who were the voices.
Magnus
who
only
had
became
called
one
to
because
him
of
his
Siege
whole
playing him a
life.
fool. Like, yeah, again, like he was like completely grifted into sending that message to Terra when he did, right? And when he did that, like the Imperium at large already just branded him a traitor, just like that, even though he like literally was not trying to be one, you know? Like it's unfortunate because he really, like, again, he was not a traitor until that point, like quite literally. And he still wasn't a traitor, arguably even after that point. Did he make mistakes? Yeah, but like he actively didn't try to like the things he did that were bad, he didn't do them out of like fucking spite or like anger. He did it because he was just ignorant or because he didn't know better, you know? Like he didn't do it because like he was just like, oh fuck the Imperium, fuck the Emperor, you know? Like he I don't know. Literally damned humanity. He did, but like again, it wasn't like on purpose that he did it, right? Like again, because like there were like Horus doing what he did. A lot of that was on purpose, right? Magnus doing what he did, it was meant to be a warning, it was a complete fuck up, right? Like, I'm not saying that makes it right. I'm just saying, like, it's different from, like, their perspective, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Best of intentions. Like, yeah.
The voices who had called to him his whole life, and he wanted Argel Tal and his brothers to help him. He wanted the man who was first to help him to his feet on Monarchia. You can imagine the rush of excitement, pride, and confusion that began racing through his mind. The Primarch chose him and his brothers to be so close to his gene father, but on a journey into that realm of madness. With the preparations made, the Serrated Sun chapter with their Primarch began their pilgrimage, along with the watchful eyes of the Adeptus Custodes. The nature of the Legion's journey, the first lie of many. 3 years passed for Argel Tal and his chapter, though this time had changed them all. No longer did the sign of the Aquila pass the ranks of the Legion. All talk of their once feverish devotion to their god had died. They were in limbo. They didn't really know who they were. Argel Tal in this time found...
So they're not even wearing the Aquila anymore, is that right?
He was elevated by Lorgar into the Legion's confessor. Argel Tal and his brothers spoke countless number of times to the young blind woman. Argel Tal and Cyrene's friendship deepened as their understanding of each other became complete, like someone who truly knew.
Chaos is the truth. Uh-oh.
Argel Tal, at his heart, was an honest soul, and he needed this time for confession, for the deception he was having to endure. The custodian squad sent to watch over the Primarch had cut an isolated silhouette amongst the thousands of legionary forces. Argel Tal alone seemed not to show this coldness. As the Emperor's chosen, many felt the chasm between themselves and these near-perfect warriors.
I just have to say real quick too, well, it's more of a question. Exactly how many custodians were stationed to guard the word bearers at this point? Was it like 100, 1,000? Like, just exactly how many, like, were there, like, we're being, you know, we're watching the word bearers, I should say, because obviously there's not many. Okay. Just a few. Like, it's just like mostly just like an embassy, you know, ambassador in a sense. Just making sure you're on the up and up. 20? Okay. So like a section or two's worth. Yeah. Definitely not 1,000. That's fair. Like, could you imagine? He's just like, no, you're fucking, you're on watch. You know what I mean? Any fucking sign of like bullshit, you're gone. These motherfuckers are gonna put you all down. I don't care. One man army each. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They just the no trust. This is about the statement, you know.
Many felt the chasm between themselves and these near perfect warriors, but Argel Tal had seen them fight.
1,000 is overkill. Here, Lorgar, 1,000 custodians.
And deadly, but they fought like lions. They were alone, independent of any true coordination. Each one a pillar compared to the word bearers who fought in packs like wolves, a united group. They were imperfect in some way, which allowed some barriers to be broken. Argel Tal alone trained with them, forming a bond with their leader Aquilon and his subordinate Vendatha, a bond forged by duels, where you tap into the world of unspoken understanding. Argel Tal respected them. He even liked them, and that's what made it so hard to lie to them.
Oh. Yeah, we're actually...
The Serrated Sun had pushed further than any forces of the Imperium. They found themselves edging closer towards an infamous silhouette, a warp tear on a scale unseen.
The Eye of Terror?
That will one day be known as the Eye of Terror.
Oh.
The journey was grueling. The Serrated Sun had lost several chapters to the unforgiving warp tides.
Oh.
Argel Tal and his brothers lost many friends and comrades that they had shared countless battlefields with, never to be seen again. It was upon the Orpheo's lament.
Can you imagine? And that's not even fighting. That's literally just traveling there. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're just trying to get to where they're going, and they're just like losing like how many thousands potentially of Astartes on the way there. Like, just attritional losses alone are fucking crazy. That's insane. Just 1,000 custodians is just a strange way of doing exterminatus. Like, yeah, it's just like, you know, we're gonna station them there, and if anything goes wrong, just expect that, like, you're going to die instantly. Like, Lorgar, you first. You know what I mean? Cover the ship in blanks, true. Although I don't think that would help in this case. But, like, yes, to counter them, yeah. 20 custodians is already horrifying. Yeah, because, like, I'm pretty sure, like, how much is, like, a section of custodians worth? Like, like, point-wise, I guess, on the tabletop, you know? How much is, like, what would it be? Like, 5, I guess? Is that usually how many people use? Like, for just, like, a, you know, like a section on section, I guess? Because I know there's like obviously the set I have, like the Warhammer starter set I have, where it obviously comes with Space Marines, but I know there's like a Custodes one too, isn't there? Not like a starter pack, but I'm just wondering, like, how many points is each, like, custodian? You know what I'm saying? On the tabletop.
Never to be seen again. It was upon the Orpheo's Lament cruiser with his Primarch that this pilgrimage found a world. One impossibly close to this immense...
Depends which custodian? Okay.
The planet was Cadia. A luscious and beautiful world, impressing Argel Tal and his custodian friends. Lorgar and his contingent headed down to the surface,
Alarm.
but not
Sorry.
to the vast, rich plains. They headed to a small, dry, barren desert, where they found the inhabitants of this world. They found people. They found a tribal human society, led by a woman named Ingithel. But something almost immediately took Argel Tal and his men by surprise. Ingithel welcomed
Every
them to
unit is
their
between
world
5 to 10 models.
in Colchizian. She spoke.
So there's quite a bit of
language.
variation.
This was perhaps the first time Argel Tal may have felt some concrete truth to this pilgrimage, to its credibility, and to
Terminators,
the
Blade Champions, lots of types, including vehicles, Sisters of Silence.
In Colchizian, but yet, strangely enough, only the sons of Lorgar could read them. Lorgar and the serrated son spent time with these native Cadians, much to the disgust of the custodians.
So they were the first to actually find Cadia, is that correct? And the custodians really, really hated that they were actually here, right? Like, I'm pretty sure, like, they're the first to get here. Like, nobody actually knew Cadia really was a thing. Custodian dreadnoughts, very scary. Yeah, custodian dreadnoughts would be terrifying, actually, thinking about it. That is true. I wonder what that would look like. Also, like, well, I guess the way, like, their paint scheme would be. Like, I'm curious about that, too. Probably look very sick. More Sisters of Silence. I've heard Sisters of Silence don't really get a lot of love. I'll have to look it up, though. Apparently, yeah, there's a lot more custodian units than I thought. So, yeah, I'll have to look some of those up for sure. Much bigger than normal dreadnoughts? Oh, shit.
Time with these native Cadians, much to the disgust of the custodians. Ingithel spoke to Lorgar about the truth of the universe, the primordial truth. Argel Tal found his Primarch falling deeper and deeper into the words of these primitives, whilst he gave it no credence. Weeks passed until everything changed, when Argel Tal and the custodian Vendatha went to retrieve the Primarch from a cave in which the so-called primitives were performing a ritual for him. To their shock, they found Lorgar, situated in the center, and the natives danced with horrifying fervor, surrounded by people who had been sacrificed upon stakes. Argel Tal began to panic. What were they doing? How could his Primarch allow this to occur? He pleaded with his gene side.
Could you imagine you come across this and you have, like, literally custodians in your presence as well, or custodies in your presence as well? Like, I feel like you just turn to them and be like, it's not me, it's him. Listen, washing my hands, this isn't me. I had no idea. Look, this is even too far for us. Like, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like, uh-oh. I wonder how this is going to go down. Oh, shit. Yeah, he's really going off the deep end. And to think these are Cadians, too. So that means they have, like, a history. I guess, like, again, they are in proximity to the Eye of Terror, again. So, like, influence is probably pretty strong there, all things considered.
How could his Primarch allow this to occur? He pleaded with his gene sire to leave, but Lorgar's cold, uncaring eyes were locked upon the ritual. When these heretical natives asked for a sacrifice from Lorgar, Vendetta had enough and attempted to arrest the Primarch and bring him before the Emperor.
What the hell?
A fight broke out, and Vendetta managed to kill 3 word-bearers.
Whoa.
Before being brought down by
Bro, whoa, so there's actually, like, internal conflict instantly here. Like, internal conflict instantly. So word bearers are present, some are fine with this. But then Argel here is literally trying to, like, arrest their Primarch. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. He's got balls, I'll say that. Like, holy. What about the Custodes here? Like, are they not, like, here? Like, they're not physically in this room, like, in this cave with them, I guess, at this point? Damn. Because I feel like they would, like, clean all this up.
Vendetta managed to kill 3 word-bearers before being brought down by Argel Tal and Zafin. Argel Tal was enraged.
Oh, I see.
How could all of this have happened? What madness is this? He had just struck down a friend. No truth was worth this. Then the worst of all came. Vendetta was barely breathing. His panicked eyes met Argel Tal's. The Cadians began to take off his armor, and as the enraged Argel Tal screamed at them to leave his friend, Lorgar stopped him. All I ever wanted was the truth. The word that had encapsulated Lorgar rang true. Lorgar wanted the truth, irrespective of how he had to achieve it.
At any
Argel Tal
cost.
pleaded, but Lorgar silenced him, telling him he would kill him if he disobeyed.
Holy shit.
Argel Tal stood there, horrified,
Uh-oh.
as the Cadians staked his friend, completing the ritual. The woman Ingethil exploded in a storm of violence, light and raw energy shaking the foundations of reality, and what was left before Argel Tal and Lorgar was this horrific, mutated, bestial creature, a nightmare that lurked in the human psyche.
You summoned me?
The ascended. The creature began whispering. It told Lorgar he was on the path to truth. It needed Argel Tal and his brothers for the next part of the journey, to the place where gods and mortals met. Lorgar asked this demon if it would hurt his sons, and it said yes.
Hey there,
Yes.
Troy. How you doing? Corruption. Uh-oh.
Argel Tal and 100 of his brothers.
So to be clear, too, that was the woman they just staked there, too. That was the woman that Argel Tal rescued. They just, like, staked her. Like, they're just sacrificing their own, like, straight up, in a sense, now. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? No? Okay. Not the woman. It was just a space marine. They killed the custodian. That was the custodes captain. Oh, that was okay. Dude's name we started with a V, right? Yeah, okay, I got you. Yeah. Got you. Okay. So they actually just straight up sacrificed him. So it was like, how many there? Yeah, it must have been like what, 2 or 3 custodes here. It's a pretty powerful sacrifice. Yeah, that's fair. She's sacred to them. Okay. Yeah, I guess because she was like an actual preacher, like on that planet, right? On Monarchia. Like 6 of them. Again, I wish they actually like were fighting as a combined unit here. I feel like they could have done a lot more. Because it sounds like what? Just like, I'm pretty sure they said just like 3 word bearers were cut down, right? Custodian got killed by 5 word bearers. Yeah. 3 of them died. Yeah. Just wait till the other custodians find out.
Argel Tal and 100 of his brothers entered the warp storm, the Eye of Terror, accompanied by this demon, Ingethel the Ascended, its very sight and presence making all of them nauseous and filled with a sense of profound wrongness. All Lorgar ever wanted was the truth, and if his sons were going to be in danger in its discovery, it was worth it to him.
Wow.
Argel Tal and his brothers,
He really doesn't care at all.
A sense of abandonment from their Primarch, but they were loyal to him to a fault. Argel Tal told no one to look at it directly. He told them to ignore its whispers, most having to have their helmets environmental sealed due to the foul stench of this creature.
Wow.
These 100 pilgrims entered the warp and were immediately overcome by visions. Argel Tal, Zafin and his brothers were shown the past. They were shown the fall of the Eldari, how they were consumed by a tide of flesh and monsters. The creature Ingethel told them about the truth the Eldari ignored, the gods of chaos. The Eldari civilization fell because they could not accept this primordial truth, and humanity's fate would be the same if they did not accept the Dark God's harmonic union, their worship. The creature told them that the Emperor had lied to them, and even delved into these warp powers himself. Worst of all, she showed them the past, to the inner sanctums of the Emperor on Terra centuries before the Great Crusade. Argel Tal and his brothers saw the Primarch's gestation capsules, even seeing their gene father as a child. All of this information was overwhelming. Argel Tal hated this creature and didn't want to believe what he was seeing.
I wonder if they also showed, like, right then and there also the missing Primarchs too, if they're seeing the gene capsules, right? I wonder if they see that, like, oh wait, there's actually some missing. They did, yeah. I imagine that'd be like a pretty big like oof also too. That'd probably be a mind fuck and a half. You'd be like, what? You know what I mean? Yeah. This is all probably pretty jarring news. So I wonder, like, if, like, do you think it was like 50% truth, 50% bullshit? Or do you think this was just purely the truth and that was enough to, like, get them? You know? It's hard to say. I'm guessing there was, like, some lies mixed in, you know? Just enough for it to be believable. Let's goon for 60 million years and kill each other while we do it. Yeah, true. Eldar did not have it coming. They wanted to be left alone. I mean, yeah, that's fair. A lot of half-truths, in my opinion. Yeah, true.
Argel Tal hated this creature and didn't want to believe what he was seeing. He didn't want this truth. That their Imperium was founded on lies. That their gene father was a spawn of ancient blood rituals and forbidden science. But as he tried to deny it as lies and trickery, he saw it. The largest Gellerfield generator he had ever seen. Why? Why did the Emperor, the founder of the Imperial Truth, the one who sought to bring enlightenment to humanity, have protection against the warp here? It was damning. Argel Tal and his brothers, festered with 3 years of bitter resentment and rejection, believed. The Emperor was a liar. Ingethel was right. This was the truth. The Dark Gods were the truth. Argel Tal took his first step towards heresy. He attacked the Gellerfield generator with his own hands, breaking the protection of the infant Primarchs. He saw them scatter, witnessing their crashes across dozens of worlds in a haze of nauseating visions. Was it real, or simply an illusion? It did not matter. Argel Tal and his brothers had seen too much. The canker in their heart-formed monarchia had been exposed.
I'm sure that must have just been a vision, right?
And awestruck with revelation. And then the demon asked for a leap of faith.
Uh-oh.
Argel Tal's ship re-emerged from the warp storm, limping into Vox range. To Lorgar's contingent, they had been gone no longer than a minute. But that perception changed when the Primarch saw his sons. Argel Tal, Zafin, Dargo Tal, and Malnor looked like emaciated husks. For them, they had been lost for 7 months, compared to Lorgar's single minute. The demon's leap of faith was death. Ingethel had murdered Argel Tal and his brothers. The boy from Colchis died, but moments later he rose again, like puppets on strings. Something was wrong. He was different. He was not alone. Argel Tal and his brothers had been revived with demons inside them.
I see.
Taking 7 months to limp back into real space, growing their parasites. They had become the first heretics.
So whenever some fucking warp beastie tells you to take a leap of faith, guys, like, just don't do it, okay? Like, I promise you, it's not going to be worth it. Okay? In the long run. I get you're doing it because you love your father or whatever, but just don't do it. Again, this makes me think of Event Horizon so much. Like, again, they go in there, they seemingly come back, and it's just like they're not on. You know what I'm saying? You know, and these guys were literally dead. It said that they were dead. They were actually dead, and then they arose. So again, like, I wonder what state their body is actually in now. Like, I'm sure they don't look very, very normal anymore. And that ship being gone for 7 months in the warp probably is messed up. Goddamn. They were dead, but they got better. Yeah, they got better, quote unquote. Swear I won't steal your soul, pretty much. This is not the worst. It could be a lot worse. Yeah, absolutely. But this is pretty bad. I think death would be better than having a demon in you, right? Reasonable demon request.
I do not wish to speak of Cadia, sire. You already know everything I know that transpired on the surface. The nights of discussions with Ingethel and the tribal elders, the comparisons of our star charts with their crude maps of the heavens, their pictographs of the Eye of Terror, and how the Cadians' images of the storm matched the Imperium from our scrolls of the Old Faith.
Argel Tal laughed. The sound lacked any humor.
As if we needed more evidence.
Lorgar was watching him closely.
What, sire?
The storm that blights this subsector. You called it the Eye of Terror.
Argel Tal froze.
Yes. That's what it will come to be called when it opens wider across the void. When the trembling Imperium sees it as the galaxy's own hell. A void sailor's dramatic.
Argel Tal is talking crazy like now, guys.
It will be scrolled onto maps and digitally inscribed into stellar cartography databanks. Humanity will give it that name, as a child names its own simple fears.
Argel Tal.
Sire.
Who is speaking to me now?
Yeah, literally.
That is not your voice.
The captain opened his eyes. He did not recall closing them.
It has no name.
Lorgar didn't answer at once.
I believe it does. It has identity as strong as yours, but it slumbers. I sense.
So he's literally pulling like a dog and like God situation here. You know what I mean? If you know Fallout New Vegas, that Dead Money DLC, that's literally it's literally like that. He's like schizophrenia almost right now. He's just gonna like start talking crazy, start popping off some dark truths here and there. And then just like be like, oh, sorry, what happened? I don't know. Weird, you know, strange. I don't remember. I don't recall what we were talking about. My bad. You know, I wonder what like dog god. Yeah, pretty much. Same person.
As strong as yours, but it slumbers. I sense its dissipation within you. You absorb it into the cells of your body like...
Here he paused again. Argel Tal
might seem like he's talking crazy till the crazy starts happening.
Life on every possible level, even the genetic one.
When I say talking crazy, I mean like crazy to everyone else. Like he has his voice just like lowers 2 decibels, goes to like a rasp, You will burn in the fires of hell. Like, what the fuck? Argel, is that you? What? Yeah, I'm good. Like, what? Like, holy shit. Like, holy. This guy's gonna be like, you know, it's gonna be like some last exorcism type shit. Pretty much. No, maybe not, but we'll see. We'll see.
It's like to see all life on every possible level, even the genetic one. The lives and deaths of billions of barely measurable cells. Could all Primarchs perceive thus? Merely his own? He had
weird version of Inside Out, pretty much.
Forgive me, sire. I will keep my eyes open.
Lorgar's breathing quickened. No unaugmented man would be able to discern the difference in the Primarch's heartbeat, but Argel Tal's senses were keener than any human's by many degrees. In truth, they were keener than Hastati's perception now. He could hear the tiniest creak stresses in the metal walls of his chamber, the guards breathing outside the sealed bulkhead door, the skittering whisper of an insect's legs in the ventilation duct. He felt this austerity before, back on Orpheo's Lament, during the 7 months of drift sailing in their bid to escape the Eye. The feeling had come many times, in truth, but none as strongly as when only a brother's blood quenched his thirst.
I see two souls at war within you, and the violence behind your eyes. Yet, I wonder,
The Primarch confessed.
if you are cursed or blessed.
Argel
Yikes.
grinned, showing too many teeth. It wasn't his smile.
The difference between gods and demons depends largely upon where one stands at the
Definitely
time.
blessed, Lorgar.
Speak to me of the last night on Cadia,
He said,
after the religious debates and the tribal gatherings. I have no interest in repeating weeks of research and rituals performed in our honor. The fleet's data core is swollen with evidence that this world, like so many others, shares unity with the old faith.
Argel Tal licked his
A
teeth.
lot more than
It
others.
still wasn't his smile.
None so close.
No, none as close as Cadia.
What do you wish to know?
Oh my god, see, he's doing it again.
Primarch
That right
paused,
there.
Hearing his name leave his
That's
son's
not normal.
lips with such a casual disregard.
Who are you?
He asked, neither threatened nor
Something
fearful,
greater than
but
you,
not quite
Lorgar.
at ease.
We are Argel Tal. I am Argel Tal.
You speak in two voices.
I am Argel Tal.
The captain said through clenched teeth.
Ask what you will, sire. I have nothing to hide.
Oh, we're going straight to Isstvan now? Oh god. Wow. That escalated quickly.
He was not alone. Argel Tal now for the rest of his days would never be alone. As Argel Tal had awoken from death, he was possessed by a demon from the war. This changed him on a completely fundamental level. He was coming to terms with what he had seen. What he saw was more than most mortals would ever dream of. The old nightmares of mankind were real. Demons were real. And the Emperor, a figure who he had once worshipped, knew. And he had hid this from humanity, taking its secrets for himself. This primordial truth was real, but Argel Tal didn't like it. Such as with the Cadian ritual using the blood sacrifice of his friend Vendatha.
Yeah, that's
Was
right.
the truth worth it? During Argel Tal and his brother's 7-month trudge back to real space from the Eye of Terror, the people they were before had died too.
So I wonder, like, when the custodians stopped reporting back, you know, I guess during that 7 months, now maybe again just due to like how long it takes to get a message across like, space at this point, right? It just wasn't possible. But did they not like, you know, find it suspicious that they didn't report in? They didn't, you know, send a message, hey, what's going on? You know, they stopped like doing the radio checks, you know, kind of thing. They're like, I sure hope Lorgar's Legion is on the up and up. Like, I sure hope they're handling that, right? Surely we'd hear about it if not, right? Like, you just think they would have been like notified, or like, thought that was kind of sus, that their boys aren't reporting back, maybe. They intercepted the messages. Oh, did they? So they just like replied on their behalf, and they're just like, yeah, everything's good. Everything's all good. Don't worry about it. That makes sense. Well, shit.
Eye of Terror. The people they were before had died too. Since these demons had infested their bodies, the 100 word bearers felt this hunger within them. They felt the desire to consume blood. After months, their numbers began to whittle down because they began to feast on each other. Argel Tal himself killed and drank his own friends till they were nothing but husks. Only less than half of their number remained. Lorgar rewarded
killed and
these
drank.
survivors, these sons who had endured more than any other. These possessed marines were reformed into the Gal Vorbak, the Blessed Sons. Their armor was tinted a deep crimson to reinforce.
I will say they
their
do look
specialty.
badass. Like, you have to
Argel
say.
Tal and his brothers had found the truth. Now they had the task. No, the responsibility to bring this primordial truth to all of mankind, to save them.
I will say I do like the designs of the certain chapters. Mostly, I guess the word bearers that do this, but when they have like the flags on their back, they like show their like those rectangular flags on their back like this. I think that's sick. They have like that barrister on them as well. Also, they have like those torches during their ceremonies. They got torches on the back of their power armor. That looks fucking really, really sick. Also, I don't know if that's just like a chapter Legion specific thing, but it also looks very, very cool. Like, I will say, like, just this whole style, like I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I will say, like, the style of 30K, like it does seem like very truly grimdark, especially during like the Horus Heresy. It seems like, yeah, peak Warhammer. Yeah, it does seem very interesting this entire time period. That's not to say like what comes after isn't. I'm just saying like this whole time frame, like the art style, everything about it, like the battle scenes you get from it, they just seem so sick,
Lorgar and his sons prepared for war. They prepared for the ascension of mankind. Decades passed. Argel Tal had risen the ranks and in favor with his gene father. Argel Tal and his brothers spent nearly 50 years laying down the groundwork for their Primarch's vision. Argel Tal spent many
more
countless
resources,
nights
more
and
innate, more
years
tech,
with
yeah.
his friend Cyrene. It had been a long journey since their first meeting upon Monarchia. He had told her everything of his
More that
desires,
Gothic architecture, I think, too.
revelations, how his thoughts plagued on whether his obedience to
Yeah,
his
exactly.
Primarch
Even the
was
power
his
armors are
choice
super
or
ornamental,
something
cool
innate
looking.
within,
Yeah.
and the primordial truth. It was all heavy, but Argel Tal had a friend to help him carry these burdens. Argel Tal, his brothers and Cyrene, after decades, had become figures of reverence.
Like, you look at this and it just like screams like Gothic, you know what I mean? Like, in terms of its like look, and I'm all for it, you know what I mean? I love this style right here. Like, I don't know, maybe that's just me.
Irene, the blind blessed lady, and Argel Tal, the Crimson Lord, adorned in his unique armor. The word bearers
Like all the
were
different
playing
textures
a
and
long
whatnot, like
game
going
of
on, it just
deception.
looks really cool.
There was one that Argel Tal found the hardest to lie to, Aquilon, their accompanying custodian captain. Argel
Death of
Tal
Hope,
and Aquilon
Hope
had
portrays
bonded
30k
over
armor so
trade
well. Death of
long
Hope is very
before
good for that,
Khârn,
yes.
But after nearly 50
I was gonna say,
years, this had blossomed into friendship. The
Death of Hope is
custodian,
fantastic
who fought like a
for
lone
displaying
pillar,
that.
had broken this barrier with the Crimson Lord. Over the decades, they began to fight like wolves together, each moving in perfect synchronization across countless battlefields. Argel Tal alone earned Aquilon's trust. He was the honest, talented warrior from Colchis, a kind of genuine warrior that anyone could understand.
Yikes.
Only Aquilon could see the depth in which this Crimson Lord failed his assessment. If only he could see how the Crimson Lord allowed dark rituals to take place in the bowels of his ship.
True.
Torturing poor, innocent souls in the name of disrupting the communications between the custodians and Terra.
I see.
All
Okay.
for the dark gods.
So it sounds like the custodians on that ship were very poor investigators. It doesn't sound like they were doing their job too well, you know? They're just sitting there training on occasion, you know? Keeping the skills sharp, but it doesn't really seem like they're keeping a watchful eye over what the fuck is going on within the Wordbearer Legion. You know, I feel like if they picked up on that a little sooner, they'd be like, oh, you know, they should be doing like some of their, they should put their detective caps on a little bit, you know, maybe start rooting around a little bit, you know. But no, they're just sitting there training, fucking chilling out, relaxing, lounging about. Oh yeah, they're fine. They're on the up and up now. No. No, deep resentment, my guy. Deep resentment. I don't know. I just feel like, again, if this went on for decades, like, goddamn. Like, surely you would have, like, rooted around a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe not.
The dark gods. The time had come. After decades plotting in the shadows, the time of great change had come. Fighting upon a non-compliant world, side by side with Aquilon, Argel Tal stumbled. Black blood poured from his mouth, almost filling his helmet. The demon that had been resting within Argel Tal over the decades was stirring. Many times over the years, Argel Tal had heard it whisper to him. It had a name, Raum. This feeling of once a parasitic bond had changed over time. It felt more like a part of him, like a half of one whole. This union between a human and a demon was sacred to his new faith, to his Primarch, and was something to be revered, though a part of Argel Tal still found some disgust at it. Like he was
I can imagine
that this was the truth. Raum long ago had told him that the time of awakening would come. He even told him that they were destined to die in the shadow of great wings. A vision corroborated when Lorgar saw Argel Tal's death upon Terra to the Primarch Sanguinius.
Yikes.
It was something Argel Tal had accepted as the truth of the gods.
Argel Tal is going to get murked by Sanguinius.
Argel Tal and the others received the distress signal. Horus Lupercal had betrayed the Imperium.
It's
the
on.
War Master had rebelled. Argel Tal held his composure in front of Aquilon, just long enough to make it back to his
Harlequins
feet
killed a bunch of them, stay
crashed
mad.
inside of Cyrene's chambers. His body was convulsing. He was in pain. His armor could not be removed as his body was expanding. He felt like he was dying. Cyrene reached out into the darkness to find her falling angel. She cried for him. By now she believed in the dark gods too, but she still cried, lamenting at what they were doing to him. The pain faded, but still he could not remove his armor. He was trapped literally in his armor, and trapped upon the path started decades ago.
I see.
Before he had killed friends, before he knew that suffering fueled the true gods of the universe. The Wordbearer's entire legion arrived above the world of Isstvan V. The 4 secret traitor legions met before making planetfall. The Iron Warriors, Night Lords, Alpha Legion, and the Wordbearers. Lorgar had brought them all together. They were not friends, but they would be bonded by the goal that they all shared. Argel Tal and the first captain, Sevitar of the Night Lords, heard these words together.
I wonder if any of the other like legions present, like just saw them meet up, like in the distance, like at the edge of the sector, just like noticed, like, hey, you know, all those legions over there are just like, you know, conversing and like, you know, openly dialoguing before this fight. You know, I think we're here to kill Horus. That's pretty like straightforward. What do you think they could be talking about? I'm sure nothing important, right? And then just like, you know. They just go and straight up backstab everybody present there. Like, wouldn't that be a little sus? You know, I guess they don't know, but it's just like, holy shit! Like they all converge there, and then nobody thought it was sus at all. That like they're all conversing, like planning backroom politicking in the background there. God damn. My bias will continue to blind me from lies. Fair enough, fair enough. Warhammer has barely any consistency in power scaling. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it varies, is what I'll say. And plot armor does seem to exist at times also, is what I will say. The author said he specifically screwed up. Oh, goddamn. Yeah, I hear some, depending on the book, I hear that there's a lot of like inconsistencies with that as well. Like where authors have either changed stuff that wasn't supposed to be changed, or it's just like a book that doesn't necessarily matter, quote unquote. Like, you know what I mean?
Paul and the first captain, Sevatar of the Night Lords, heard these words together, two infamous figures amongst the Legiones Astartes. And as Sevatar spoke the words that would echo throughout the ages, death to the false emperor, the
Yikes.
rally roared. Argel Tal and Sevatar clasped wrists, brothers bonded in treachery. Argel Tal and his Gal Vorbak were deployed to the surface as part of the reinforcement wave following the Salamanders, Ironhands, and Raven Guard.
Uh-oh.
He stood there upon the hill as he saw the Raven Guard.
Not the Raven
forces
Guard.
approach.
No.
He was sweating, stuck in the tomb.
Don't
that
do
was
it.
His armor. He thought back to how much he despised war, and then his mind drifted to home.
The Raven Guard
He
don't
remembered his
deserve it.
parents,
Come on.
His mother.
The Salamanders,
his sisters,
maybe.
The moment where he saw them last. He wondered what would they think of him now. That perhaps he was a coward for following a path that required so much blood. He asked.
The Salamanders got it the worst. Good.
The Raven Guard were cut down like blades of grass.
Oh.
Argel Tal gave in to his other half. He let Raum take over. Their bloodlust bubbled to the surface. Their armor cracked open. Claws and spikes jutted from their and the other Gal Vorbak's form. Their teeth enlarged. Argel Tal became a monster.
This is where he
outside reflected
transforms.
The heart within. He began ripping through the ranks of his once legionary allies in one of the most brutal conflicts in all of the Imperium's history. Argel Tal and Raum slaughtered.
I imagine that would be so goddamn jarring to see. Like 1 second they're fine, and then the next second just a fucking like monster emerges out of this armor. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and for the allies, like for the Raven Guard and like obviously all the loyalist legions present, that would be extremely jarring. But even for like the traitor legions at this point, this is the first time it's like happening. I'm sure if you're just like some normal unmutated like traitor soldier at this point, you see that shit, you're like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like that would be some scary shit. Like suddenly this starts happening to some of your boys. Like, nah, that's not on, you know? Like this guy has a mouth in his chest. Like what is that supposed to be? Absolutely not. However horrible you may think the following events are, Kolth will be worse. Uh-oh.
The Imperium's history.
It's scary because Argel Tal is in union with the demon too. Yeah.
Hundreds, gutting.
Like it's literally a god dog situation.
Until finally the demon had been sated. Finally Argel Tal's body shrunk down, and he was able to remove his helmet, breathing in the ash and air of betrayal. But something immediately caught his attention.
The ash and air of betrayal.
Aquilon had discovered their betrayal, and he was heading for Cyrene.
His chest mouth for snacks. Yeah. Imagine just like feeding your chest. Seems very awkward.
He killed her. The woman who had listened to the confessions of traitors for decades, keeping the dark truth secret. Aquilon, sequestered upon the Word-Bearer's fleet, was shown the secrets taking place inside the Legion's innermost sanctums. Human sacrifice. There was only one person who knew the truth of what was happening. Cyrene. Argel Tal rushed back from the scorched surface of Isstvan, his blood raging as the surviving Gal Vorbak sought to save their beloved confessor. But he was too late. Aquilon had killed her for her treachery. The woman who had helped carry his burden for decades was gone.
Listen,
slain by the friend who he had shared countless battlefields with.
I kind of feel bad for them, for her specifically, but I also kind of don't, because like, listen, she was in on the whole like dark god worship too. Yeah, she felt bad over it, but she was still for it, you know? This human sacrifice nonsense, she's still for it, you know? So I don't really feel all that bad, I'll be honest. This, you know, he killed her, it's like, yeah, I mean, reasonable, like, you know what I mean? I can't really blame you know, him for doing that. Like, it sounds pretty, like, you know, it sounds like a lot of, you know, people would have done the exact same thing and just killed her because like she's a fucking, they're literally sacrificing humans, like, you know what I mean? Like, sacrificial. It's not on, you know. I think it's reasonable.
By the friend who he had shared countless battlefields with. Sorrow and hatred gripped Argel Tal. The Gal Vorbak chased the retreating custodians who had made an escaped attempt for terror, only to be shot down, crashing down upon Isstvan V. The dozen remaining Gal Vorbak met these survivors, transforming once again into a demonic bestial form, the horrific creatures they had become. The two sides clashed in a symphony of hate and violence. Argel Tal and Raum charged forth and tore his once friend Aquilon apart.
Damn.
But the clash had cost them. Dargo Tal, Malnor, even Zafin fell. Isstvan became a tomb for everyone that Argel Tal cared about. The Crimson Lord was alone. His closest brothers, who he had spent centuries with, were gone.
Well, whose fault is that?
He betrayed,
respectfully.
were gone. Cyrene was gone. This path that had started on Monarchia had cost him nearly everyone.
Yeah,
There is something inside
and yourself.
humanity that can often be the most frightening thing. How mundane evil can be. Argel Tal had been shown a path where gods that existed within the warp would destroy humanity, just how the Eldari were now doomed. He accepted this as the truth, but why did he accept it? Even though it repulsed him, he had committed atrocities, he had tortured people, sacrificed them in secret, he lied to those who he was bonded to, but yet he did all these things with no malice or hatred. It's frightening what the average person will do in the name of their perceived truth. And
Isn't that like almost worse? He did all this with like no malice or hatred. He's just doing it because he's told to do it. Yeah, I guess that's the whole point. Like at the start there, I was just following orders. I don't know, man. Like again, it seems sus. You know what I mean? I don't think I can really support it. You know. Again, you ought to know better at some point, right? Like when you literally have a demon inside of you and you're still just like that. That's right. You know what I'm saying? I don't hate anybody for lying to me. I'm just, you know, I'm upset, but I'm going to do what I'm told still. Like what?
average person will do in the name of their perceived truth. And why was it true? True to him, because Argel Tal is Lorgar's truest son. The Primarch and the Crimson Lord both believed that might made right. The Emperor was a god because he was powerful. The Dark Gods were true because they were powerful. Argel Tal had faith in power. Following the events upon Isstvan V, Argel Tal is a broken man. His Gal Vorbak
Anything to kill the Tau. Nobody respects the Tau, apparently, bro. I don't think we've had a single person, like, on the channel so far actually go out of their way to speak on behalf of the Tau. I think everybody just, in general, fucking despises them. This is what I'll say. No, but nobody enjoys them.
Almost all gone.
Seemingly.
Lorgar had given him command of a new chapter, named the Vakrar Jarl, more possessed Hastatis. But these warriors had not taken the pilgrimage like him. They had made no sacrifices for this power. Others wearing the crimson on their armor, but without understanding what it meant. Argel Tal had never felt more alone, except for one, Khârn of the World Eaters, the one bond he still had from the Great Crusade. Argel Tal and his Vakrar Jarl were attached to the World Eaters Legion, though many World Eaters were disgusted at these demon-infested Marines. It was only
No doubt.
Khârn who had any respect. Each time Argel Tal fought, his transformation became more intense. He would become the size of a Primarch, with large black wings. His physical form kept deteriorating, but it was Khârn who kept him anchored, just as Argel Tal kept Khârn anchored from the butcher's nails in his head. The Word Bearers and the World Eaters burned the realm of Ultramar for years, each legion slowly falling to this corruption of the dark gods. It was an endless tide of satiating the demon's thirst until something changed for the broken Crimson.
Oh man.
Erebus had come to him. They were once the student and the master, but only bitterness was left between them. But Erebus came with an offer Lorgar had warned him to decline.
Oh yeah?
It stunned him. Erebus offered to bring back his friend, his confessor. He offered to resurrect Cyrene.
What could go wrong with that?
Brother.
Khârn spoke softly, so as not to interrupt the vileness taking place before him. He could hear drumming on the deck above and weeping from another chamber nearby. A plague on this wretched vessel, this ship of faithful damned. Argel Tal turned with a low thrum of active armor joints. His twin voices were pitched low, leaving his human voice almost as soft as the demon's whisper.
What?
Khârn inclined his crested helm to the chanting beggars.
Will they survive this ritual?
He asked.
Unlikely.
His tone edged. The word-bearer looked back to the muttering choir.
I don't know.
You don't know or you don't care?
Both.
I don't care.
Argel
There it
Tal
is.
admitted.
You'd kill them to save her soul.
Khârn wouldn't back down.
Is that who you are?
Argel Tal breathed out a rueful sigh.
It might be. I don't yet know.
I like how this is a world eater, like a dude with a butcher's nails in his head, like having this discussion with him. You don't know or you don't care, and he's the one telling him this. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? Like I didn't expect that from, you know, from a world eater. That's for sure. Like that seems kind of nuts to me. To be fair, Tau aren't doing so hot this edition. I don't think Tau have been doing hot any edition, to be honest with you. From what I've seen, at least. I mean, people who say they like Tau are just contrarians making excuses for their broken range-ass army. Holy shit. This is Khârn. Khârn was also Siggy Boy. Oh, was he? Tau used to be by far the best army. I heard that they're very OP.
Tal breathed out a rueful sigh.
It might be. I don't yet know. I'm willing to become it to bring her back.
The World Eater gestured to the chanting mortals. Chains rattled on his braces as he swept his arm to encompass them all.
This is how it begins.
Khârn said.
This is how the coldness you so despise in Erebus first takes root in you.
Argel Tal shook his head.
Don't act as if this is new to either of us. As though neither of us has butchered hundreds of innocents, young and old, with our own hands.
True.
This isn't a game of selective morality, Khârn. We slaughter the innocent and guilty alike, whether they hold lasguns, bolters, or cower in their homes holding only each other.
I lost each time I killed civilians.
Him and Sigismund were bros, remember? Yeah.
Lost.
Yeah, that's where the chaining comes from. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because they sparred together. That's right. That's why, like, the Black Templars, like, chained their weapons to their hand. They got it from the World Eaters. I do remember that. So that was Khârn. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
To the nails.
You can lie to yourself and your legion, but not to me, brother. Even if you were lost. Does that excuse what you have done? Does it make everything better as you tore those men, women, and children apart? Did any of their screams even once turn to understanding smiles? Did they reach up during their own massacres to give you their blessings, forgiving you for the fact you can't control your own rage?
Argel Tal looked back to the preparations as he continued.
Wow.
We are the Legiones Astartes. We choose who lives and who dies in this galaxy. It is the way of things.
This is murder.
It is known.
Said Khârn.
Not war. Murder.
Just because we are soldiers in a war zone, it is no less murder if we slaughter unarmed civilians. The context is irrelevant, but I will not argue with you.
He nodded towards the remains on the altar.
That is kind of true, though.
A life is worth 1,000 others. These are humanity's dregs. They
Whoa.
are not here completely involuntarily. Look at them. You'd not think twice about breaking their skulls open if they were in your way. The only reason you're roused to disgust now is because this heathen ritual makes your skin crawl.
Khârn had no reply. His brother knew him too well.
It makes mine crawl as well.
Argel Tal confessed.
How many times have I told you I wish this truth wasn't true? But it is, Khârn. It is true. The truth. And we face it. We will not live a lie.
Despite their surroundings,
Interesting.
Khârn felt himself at risk of smiling.
You sermonize well, brother. You should give more speeches to the 17th.
Was that supposed to be a sermon?
His gaze never leaving the mouldering bones.
I am no preacher.
Khârn fell silent. 1 minute he'd tell himself he would interrupt the rite by drawing his chain blade and threatening Erebus's life. The next he'd confessed to a curiosity of his own. Fierce, even in the face of the distant drums and the chanting that pressed against his senses.
Meltdown all town models.
An
Yikes.
unwelcome smell.
Great wings. Is this his great wings or is this Sanguinius's great wings?
Humanity's
Or both.
weakest souls will always cling to the words, "I was just following orders." They
Yikes.
cower behind those words, making a virtue of their own weakness, lionizing brutality over nobility. I know that when I die, I'll have lived my whole life shrouded by that same excuse. Cyrene returned. Erebus had found her soul within the warp and dragged her back to her decaying corpse in real space. Argel Tal was overjoyed. He had lost so much, and with Cyrene's return, a piece of his humanity returned with it. Cyrene's resurrection
so she came back.
also returned her sight. She saw Argel Tal for the first time in her life. Argel Tal's lesson from Isstvan had been that he could lose those he cared for at any moment, which is why Erebus's departing words caught his attention. The first chaplain
I wonder
told
if
the
she came
Crimson
back with a
Lord
demon in her
that his
too.
friend,
It's likely.
his honor brother Khan's life was in danger, and he would die on a world.
Critical levels of
without
pace straight now.
stars. Argel Tal had once admired Erebus, until their feud with his destiny as a chaplain came between them. For a century since, it had been a distant dislike for each of them, but since the start of the heresy, all had come to see Erebus's conniving ways.
Erebus the
Yet
rat.
part of them believed he was telling the truth. The fear of Erebus being right about Khârn tapped right into his weakness. The heresy had raged on for years. It had been centuries. For
Look
the
at this
boy
smug
born
bastard. Yeah,
corpses,
he's just sitting there
boy
smirking.
raised in the beating sun of a desert.
I feel
war.
like that's like every picture you see of fucking Erebus. It's just like that rat smile ear to ear. He's just sitting there grinning in a corner, fucking, you know, like pacing his fingers together, like in the corner, plotting. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's the actual just rat behavior. That's all Erebus seems to be so far. I don't know. Again, we'll have to. I'll put him on like the next pool because I got to see what this guy's all about for sure. Fuck Erebus,
Boy
yeah.
raised in the beating sun of a desert world
Yikes.
to a quiet but loving family. He had been immersed in faith since his birth, until he was taken by his world's angels. Erebus took him to join the holy war of their god. Argel Tal was trained. He was educated and he was cut open and augmented, enduring excruciating pain. He was told the Emperor was a god, that he was powerful beyond measure, and that he should worship him. Then the boy became a man. Argel Tal, the word-bearer, Hastati of the chapter of the serrated sun. He began a journey of war. He fought terrifying Xenos and non-compliant human worlds over decades in countless battlefields. He had brothers who admired this honest, straightforward speaking Hastati.
Erebus was just speaking his truth.
Collapsed.
I don't know about all that.
In the ashes of Monarchia, his god shamed him. His god told him his achievements, his mark of immortality in the galaxy was all for nothing. Serene was right. He was angry. He resented his god. The shame left a hole in his heart, one that was filled by a truth that disgusted him. The Chaos Gods. They showed him the truth. They showed him a path that led to a higher purpose. A path that saved humanity and spited the god that shamed him. And in the moment of this revelation, he was murdered, brought back with a parasite inside him. The demon, Raum. Raum changed him. It changed them. Argel Tal thirsted for blood, even killing a friend because of his thirst. When he returned to real space, he had to maintain a facade that burned at the core of this honest man. And then everything changed on Isstvan. He gave in to the demon, and the outside reflected the heart within. He became a monster, the first heretic. He lost nearly everyone he cared for on that world. He became walking dead.
We cooking tonight? I'm not too sure, Hobbit. I'm not too sure.
Only a thread of the original man was still tethered to this world, with his bonds to Khârn.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Argel Tal had learned to hold on to those he still had. The Word-Bearers and the World-Eaters in the latter part of their heresy turned their attention to Nuceria, the Primarch Angron's homeworld, and began to burn it. When a surprise counter-offensive was launched by the Ultramarines, Argel Tal's fears overtook him. He clung to Khârn in his demonic form, using his body to shield him from dozens of mortal blows, having to occasionally fight the berserker lost to the nails himself. Argel Tal and Raum were a bloody mess, but Khârn still lived, a friend protected. As the battle died down, Argel Tal stood atop a crashed cruiser when his once master appeared from the shadows. Erebus approached.
Erebus did nothing wrong. Should be an arrestable offense. Yikes.
He took a breath,
send this man to Arkham Asylum.
Battlements and pacing the wall. Argel Tal's wings twitched and itched as Erebus walked away. He watched the legions fighting in the city below, driving back the Ultramarines, pushing them through the streets back to their landing sites.
Argel Tal,
Erebus said quietly. The inflection was strange. Despite saying the name, it didn't sound as if he was speaking to the other warrior.
What? Kill him. He forced us to fight for the Slayer's life so we would be weak now.
The ritual dagger slid into Argel Tal's spine, gentle as a lover's touch. Raum's furious cry trailed away, faded, and not even an echo remained. For the first few seconds there was nothing. When pain blossomed from the wound, it did so like something unfolding, cold, inside him, wrapping around his bones. He staggered, claws scraping over the metal battlements, all strength sucked from him.
Did he just get backstabbed?
His hands scratched at the battlements. A legionary's hands, a legionary's weakness.
Raum! Raum!
There was no Raum. The demon's absence was a shock many times more painful than the knife. Argel Tal's helmet slipped clear, bearing his too human face to the downpour. He tasted the blood of countless innocents slaughtered in the Shadow Crusade. It stung his eyes, and he couldn't summon the strength to wipe his face clean. The knife came free with a jerk, and the crunch of violated meat.
Oh.
The pain with it.
Oh my god.
Flooding his muscles with a hateful, pleasant numbness. Erebus stood patiently, watching Argel Tal collapse. In his hands he held a knife the length of his forearm, bone-handled, and engraved in Colchizian rune script.
That's not a knife, that's like a machete, dude.
Always you.
The chaplain said.
In every one of the 10,000 paths, your erratic, emotional foolishness led us to lose the war. You had one last chance to turn away from this fate. If you could just overcome the death of that worthless whore priestess.
Whoa.
But no, you begged me to bring her back, and in so doing, proved you were as worthless as she was.
Wow.
You cannot be relied upon. You cannot be trusted. You cannot, for want of a better word, be controlled. And we need control if we are to win this war.
Holy shit.
Argel Tal coughed blood, reaching a trembling hand out to drag himself closer.
Erebus is fucking going off right now? What the fuck?
Erebus shook his head.
I confess, I'm amazed you can move at all. No one else has been able to move after the killing stroke. What a saddening to discover you're stronger than I thought.
Argel Tal crawled another meter closer. Erebus smiled, resting a boot on the Vakrajal's hand. Ceramite started to split and crack, but there was still no pain.
Khârn has been chosen,
the chaplain stated.
And in every future I saw, the one thing that altered his fate was you. You, my boy, would have saved him. I am Destiny's hand, Argel Tal. Can you even conceive of my role and responsibility? You would break my path and change Khârn's fate. I cannot allow it. Let him carve his destiny, free of your fraternity.
Yeah, Erebus is doing some real rat behavior here, I'm not gonna lie. Like, this is some real rat behavior. A backstab, and then he's like, in his final moments after he kills Argel Tal here, I'm assuming, as he's dying, he's just saying, like, oh yes, you got me to resurrect that bitch. Yes, that just shows how weak you were. You care? Ugh, you weakling. I need control in this legion, and you, ugh. Like, what a rat, man. Like, this is actual snake behavior, man. I keep saying that, but holy. Like, look at this face. Look at this smug fucking face. Like, what is that?
Him carve his destiny, free of your fraternity. Immortality awaits him this way.
Argel Tal lifted his head, speaking through clenched teeth.
I die in the shadow of great wings. Not here. Not here.
Erebus stepped aside. Behind him, the fortress tower was marked by the Imperial Aquila.
It could have been a lie.
Blood from the hellish storm.
Oh, I see.
The eagle stared into the rain, its wings wide and proud.
So you do.
Erebus agreed, and the chaplain turned away.
Goodbye.
So it was a half-truth.
He was betrayed. The man who had been there at his start, the man who had tutored him personally, murdered him. If Khârn was to fulfill his destiny in service to the dark gods, Argel Tal had to die. The one person who kept him tethered to his humanity. In the shadow of great wings, the boy from Colchis passed from this world. The man who wanted to be honest, but was burdened with lies. The man who hated war. The man who killed thousands for a so-called truth. Lorgar Aurelian's truest son.
Can we really hate Erebus? I think so, yeah.
The Crimson
I think so.
Argel Tal.
Wow. So he dies just like that. Erebus fucking assassinates him and he just dies. And that's how Khârn kind of ascends, because it's the only thing that keeps him sane. Wow. That was pretty good, guys. I'm not gonna lie. That was a pretty awesome story. Argel Tal, the entire character history, voice acted 40k lore by the Amber King, of course. Great video. What an interesting character too. And again, not really a lot on him per se, but he adds a lot of context and a lot of like, you know, nuance to the word bearers, you know, like, because it's easy enough to just like see it from like Lorgar's perspective or something like that, but to see it from an actual Astartes that is part of that legion, it adds a lot of context to it. It adds a lot of like filler to it, I will say. And obviously, again, we get to see a lot of major players. We obviously get to see Khârn in there, Erebus as well. I didn't know much about Erebus, but yeah, anytime I do see him, he just does the most rat-like shit and then dips out, man. Like every single time. Seems kind of crazy. Can we watch Erebus versus Khârn's 6-minute video? There's a vid? I mean, yeah, what, 6-minute video? Yeah, we can probably do that. You got a link for it by chance? He's the best because he's the worst. He just loves this shit. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, we can watch a 6-minute video. Battle Chicken, is there a link for it by chance? Can you send that in the Discord perhaps? Let's just see. Khârn and Erebus fight in the pit from Betrayer.
Erebus bowed to the
This
crowd.
one here. Let's just see real quick here. This is Khârn and Erebus fight in the pit from the Betrayer. A 40k dramatic reading. Rufus Juice. I've never heard of this guy before. Rufus Juice, 13,000 subscribers. 73,000 views. Came out about 2 years ago now. Not a bad video. We'll leave a like on it right away here. We'll see. Yeah, if you guys haven't heard of this video, I mean, go check him out. Give him some love, guys. I don't have the link for this video in the description right now because this is kind of like a hot viewing, I guess, let's say. But yeah, no, we'll check out this last video. I mean, it's only 6 minutes long. We'll check it out here. And obviously, please go check out this guy as well. I don't have a link in the description as of right now. I will put one in later. So if you're watching this, stream later as a viewer, there should be a link in the description for him as well. But as of right now, there isn't. So if you guys want to go check out his channel, make sure you do so. Leave a like on his content. Everyone involved doing this type of stuff, they deserve the praise. And clearly this guy's gotten some for it. This seems like a decent video. So yeah, I'm excited to check this one out. We'll see what else it's all about. And yeah, we'll go from there. Let's just make sure captions are on. 1080p. I'm not suggesting it now, but I don't believe Centurion has seen the Guardsman either. I don't think so. Grab some popcorn, it's on. Rufus is great. Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of this channel before. So yeah, let's see what he's all about. 6-minute video here. Full screen. 3, 2, 1. Let's get it.
Erebus bowed to the crowd, facing the applause of fists thudding against bare chests. The deactivated Crozius in his hand was flecked with blood, first blood, and ever the dignified victor, Erebus offered a hand to help Skane up from the deck. The sergeant took the proffered hand, gripping it with his new augmetic limb. "A fine bout," the first chaplain said. The World Eater still hadn't had his throat mechanics repaired, leaving him speechless, but he grinned and nodded in place of words and moved back into the crowd. Delvaris stepped forward, so did Khârn. The crowd, on the edge of cheering at the first warrior, fell silent at the sight of the second. The captain said 2 words to the Triari Centurion. "Let me." Delvaris saluted and backed away. "First blood?" Erebus asked.
Guardsman is pretty short. Okay, you have other things to do. So the only time I usually check out like other videos alongside the Amber King videos on Saturdays, it's usually when it adds to the video topic that we were like previously on. So like obviously Argel Tal, it had Erebus, it featured Erebus at the end there, and this kind of seems like I'm guessing this is after the fact. This is a 40k reading. So this is kind of like adding to that story there with Erebus and Khârn to just kind of like give it a little bit more context at the end there. I think that's perfect. So that's the only time I really like to like look at videos at the same time as another one, because I like to give each video kind of like their own their own just due, you know, each creator their own just due. And especially because like the video title, the stream title is still going to be Argel Tal by the Amber King, you know what I'm saying? So I feel bad, like, you know, looking at 6 other videos in the same stream, you know what I'm saying? That's all it is. That's all it is. But we'll check out the Guardsmen some other time. If you got a recommendation, if you want to leave that in the comments, or if you want to post it over on the Discord. I'm not sure if you have already, but yeah, post it over on the Discord. We can check it out sometime for sure.
First blood? Erebus asked.
This is after Khârn learns who killed Argel Tal. Okay.
Toothed by Mica dragons and once thrown from the hands of a Primarch. He chained it to his bare wrist in the imitation of the Nucerian gladiators whose bones he'd seen and honored mere days before at Deshalika Ridge. The captain was stripped to the waist, as were all the warriors.
This fight is because of what Erebus did.
Sanguis
Okay.
extremis, Khârn said. Some of the crowd breathed in, showing their shock as the humans they once were. Others laughed or cheered. More fists beat against chests. Erebus regarded Khârn with cold, composed eyes. Several seconds beat in silence before the word-bearer's lips curled in a soft, indulgent smile. Bold, Khârn. Are you Scorchile revved? For the first time since its rebirth, eating air with the throaty snarl of an apex predator. That interruption was the only answer Khârn would give, and Erebus raised his croziers in reply. Come then. 3 blows. The first, Khârn smashed his maul aside with the flat of his new axe. The second, he cannoned a headbutt into Erebus's nose, breaking cartilage with a wet crunch.
Damn.
The third, Gorechild tasted first blood, ripping across the chaplain's chest, carving a canyon of flesh over the dense subdermal armor of the warrior's black character.
Just absolutely ruins him immediately.
All of this happened in time. It took Erebus to blink.
Jesus.
No one could move as fast as Khârn. No one human. And nothing mortal.
Wow.
The chaplain threw himself backwards, Crozius up high to guard. Khârn looked forwards, gunning Gorechild's trigger. The crowd was silent. This was a Khârn they'd never seen, not even on the field of battle.
Wow.
Another 3 blows, delivered with the same blinding speed. Erebus's maul clanged, skidded across the deck. He took a fist to the throat and a boot to the stomach, knocking him back with enough force to send him crashing onto the blood-stained iron.
Holy shit. So it just immediately seems like Erebus is getting the shit kicked out of him here. I don't know if this is like another conniving play by Erebus to like unlock his like demonhood in Khârn maybe. I'm not too sure. But he just is absolutely kicking the shit out of Erebus here. Like it seems like he's absolutely just beating him. Like there doesn't seem to be a contest here. He hasn't even landed a blow or parried any of his strikes yet. It's just instant like annihilation seemingly out the gate here. This is revenge, I see.
Stomach, knocking him back with enough force to send him crashing onto the blood-stained iron grillwork. He looked up at Khârn from the ground and saw his death in the World Eater's eyes. He'd never seen this before. Not in any of the paths of possibility. It couldn't be happening. It couldn't end like this. He was Destiny's hand. Khârn looked down at him, clearly allowing time for the chaplain to recover his croziers. Get up. Erebus rose, his mace in his hands again. He attacked this time, showing the speed and skill that allowed him to hold his
Khârn
own
just
against
locked in.
Lucius
It
of the
seems
Emperor's
like it.
children and Loken of the old lunar wards. His croziers trailed killing lightning, buzzing furiously as it thrummed through empty air again and again. Khârn weaved aside from every blow, quicker than a blink, surely quicker than muscles could ever allow. Their weapons crashed together. Khârn had parried the last blow. Erebus expected accusation in the World Eater's eyes, or surely anger. He saw neither. Worse, he saw a bored indulgence. The captain even sighed. 3 more blows. Erebus was on the deck before he knew how. Pain flared across his chest, hot and urgent, matching the thick throb of his smashed face.
Wow.
He reached to touch the wound with a hand that was no longer there.
Really?
His hand. His hand was on the deck several meters away. Blood leaked from the chewed veins nestled in the meat of his severed limb.
Jesus.
Turning unbelieving eyes downwards, he saw where his...
So he was like literally sitting there the whole time saying like, no, I'm Destiny's hand. I can't be killed. Not like this. This isn't how I finish. And now he's just getting his ass completely handed to him. This is kind of crazy to see. I'm not going to lie. Like, you know, like he does just seem like there's no way out of this. Like this does seem like the end of Erebus almost here. Wow. Khârn is ridiculously strong in pretty much every book. Probably one of the most consistently broken characters through the books, regardless of author. Yeah, this seems pretty crack. Like, we haven't even seen a parry yet. Like, this has just been complete devastation on part of Khârn here.
Sword in the meat of his severed limb. Turning unbelieving eyes downwards, he saw where his arm now ended at the wrist. Going to need an augmetic for that, Cargo said from the crowd. Several warriors laughed, but few with any real relish. They were too fascinated by what was unfolding.
So is this on a word bearer ship?
Erebus looked up at Khârn again.
Or like in a word bearer arena?
Get up. The chaplain rose. Khârn didn't wait this time. The blows were bloody blurs of whining motors and tearing chain teeth. Pain bloomed across Erebus's body, and he was face down on the deck again before he'd managed to fully rise from the last time.
Wow.
Even without his armor's pain nullifiers and chemical stimulants, Erebus suppressed the pain by whisper chanting a sacred mandala. Khârn interrupted.
It's in the Conqueror? Okay.
Up. Erebus actually tried. But he froze when he felt Gorechild's teeth against his
World Eater's
spine.
flagship.
The idling
okay.
chain blade was purring and breathing out its Promethean
I
fuel
see.
stick. The axis still.
So the World Eaters, yeah, Angron's ship. Okay, yeah. So they captured Erebus. Is that what happened here? I'm guessing Erebus didn't like willingly go here to get his ass kicked. Like, he must have been captured or something, right? Something to that extent.
Teeth kissing Erebus's vertebrae. Never, not even in fragmentary glimpses, had he foreseen this duel. It couldn't end like this. He couldn't die here. There was so much to do. Sickness prime, terror herself, in all the 10,000 futures, Erebus had seen himself fighting the long war to the very last. The very same second Erebus reached for the ritual knife at his belt with his remaining hand, Khârn pulled the chain axe's trigger. There should have been a scream. Everyone expected it. Every warrior present waited to hear the first chaplain of the Word-Bearers shriek as Gorechild bit into his flesh. But there was nothing beyond the rotating whine of an axe blade chewing empty air.
Empty air?
No one seemed surprised at the display of Word-Bearer sorcery.
Oh, of course.
Even fewer were surprised at the cowardice.
Did he just like flash powder out of there?
Khârn turned from the blood marking the deck, leaving the circle without a word.
He willingly went on the ship? Wow. Erebus was just here to spar with everyone else? Wow.
Erebus.
That was pretty good. That was Khârn and Erebus fight in the pit from Betrayer. Dramatic 40k reading by Rufus Juice. I haven't heard of that guy. Seems like a pretty good channel. I'm going to subscribe to that right now. Yeah, what a great reading there, honestly. Very good choice of music, I will say. And narration, very good narration as well. Clear, concise, good microphone. I thought that was pretty good telling, all things considered. Couldn't tell if that was just one narrator there or two. I'm not too sure. But yeah, no, I thought that was good, all things considered. Wow. Very good channel. Very good channel. If you guys haven't heard of Rufus Juice, go check him out. Give him some love, because he definitely deserves it. Wow. But yeah, guys, that was Argel Tal, entire character history, and Khârn and Erebus fight in the pit. I thought that was pretty good. Pretty good so far. We learned a little bit more about the word bearers in general, a little bit more about Khârn, a little bit more about Erebus. Pretty successful, I'll go be honest there. I'll go give him a sub. You should. He seems like he deserves it for sure. Yeah, that's what we're here to do, you know. Obviously, a lot of you guys have heard of the Amber King, but any small creators, you know, we can shout out, we can give some attention to. They obviously deserve it as well. I don't have a link to his channel or his video as of right now, but again, if you're watching this in the future, I definitely will have that in there for sure. But yeah, guys, if you guys enjoyed, make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. If you're not subscribed, come on down, join our Discord if you're not in that. And yeah, big thank you to all of our members, all of the Hastati out there, and our Principes, Dagenhart, and Fear. I appreciate you guys. You guys inspire me to make more content for you guys every single day, of course. And yeah, I think we're probably going to end this stream off of here. Erebus is a bitch. No one here is surprised. True. Make sure to unsubscribe, everyone. I'd rather you didn't. Hell, if you want to get, if you guys didn't like, make sure you hit that dislike button. Listen, honestly, you know, it helps to know, you know, what people enjoy, what they disenjoy, and also, you know, any attention is good attention, you know. But yeah, I probably will be streaming later tonight. Not too sure what yet. Maybe some more Skyrim. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe something else. We might switch it up a little bit. We'll see what goes on. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. It was awesome to see you guys here. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, this without any further delay, I guess. This has been Centurion. And I will see you guys in the next one. You guys have yourselves a good rest of your night. If I don't see you guys later, peace, guys. Skyrim? Yeah, maybe some Skyrim. We'll see. Unmodded Skyrim again? Yeah, maybe some unmodded Skyrim again. We'll see. We'll see. A lot of you guys seem to enjoy that, so yeah, we made some pretty good progress on it last time. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, if not that, maybe something else. We might do something else. We're not too sure yet. I'll see how I'm feeling. But we will be continuing Skyrim at some point. Hobbit upgraded membership to Principe. Geez, just as I was about to finish it off. Wow, thank you, Hobbit. Holy shit. Guess a big thank you to our newest Principe also, Hobbit as well. Thank you, Hobbit. Wow. Broke boy can't afford oblivion. Dude, that's true. That is true. Listen, money is tight right now for me. So, any contribution, if you guys want to see it happen, if anyone wants to sponsor Oblivion, by all means, let me know. I'll hit you up and we can make that happen. But yeah, guys, no, thank you as always. I appreciate that a lot, Hobbit. Thank you, man. But yeah, we're going to end it off here. So you guys have yourself a good night. If I continue streaming, which I probably will, it'll either be Skyrim or maybe something else, depending on how I'm feeling. You guys know I like to switch it up a little bit here and there. So we'll see. We'll see. I might just do something random. We'll see. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace, guys.